we're starting off the work week with some really talented creators who have been putting their money where their mouth is. So
That's
why don't you bring some of them on, Calderon?
all right. Let's start off with Coco for the night.
I am honored to be the co-host. I tell you, whenever I'm on this show, JD, I always get great comments from followers and things. Last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, I had some people messaging me about how much they were enjoying our answers about the con circuit. So I'm ready to expand on that a little bit tonight. If you don't know me, my name's Timothy Fling. I'm a writer and occasional podcaster from York, Pennsylvania. And I'm in the midst of pre-launching my first Indiegogo.
Nice.
Ooh.
I'm going to try it. One of the things we talk about, got to try new things. Got to try new things. Man, I'm a big Kickstarter guy. You guys know it. I've done 7 of them, right? No, 8, right? But the truth is the landscape looks troubling to me over there, and I'll be glad to discuss that on the air.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Cool. I got to hear this because I'm about to launch 42.
Yeah, I'm interested. All right, but we got the night to go. Let's go.
There we go.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah, I'm pretty much independent. I just draw my comic Knocked. Finished my comic Godlings last year. I think I have 15 comics in my store that I've all done. So I write, draw, color. I do it all. One man army. So thanks for having me on.
All right, listen, man. It's good to have you.
Welcome, Aaron.
It's funny. I flipped the camera this week, like the image. So now when I point this way, I'm actually pointing that way. So now it's a little weird for me. So I'm not used to being, I'm not used to it going in the right direction. So.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Mark Bell from Plague Doctor Press in Bloomington, Indiana, who is a small press publisher of Spirit and Strange Ranger, which number 2 is kickstarting currently on the Kickstarter.
What's up, Mike? Nice to have you, Mark. Pleasure meeting you, man.
Hi, I'm Braxton Cosby. I am the CEO of Cosby Media Productions, a small press book publishing company down here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've published over 30 authors with 60 different titles in ebook, audiobook, and paperback since 2014. And I'm also the CEO of Star Child Comics, which is our comic book imprint. And since 2021, we have published 12 comics. And I've also written screenplays, 20 novels, and about 4 comic scripts myself.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, gentlemen. So let's start it off. We got the show question. So what do you want from indie comics? So basically, is what are you looking for from indie comics? It's a very simple question, but it's one that's also very complicated because all of us are looking for something different, right? Some of us are looking for the same thing. Some of us are looking for different things. Some of us are expecting other things, right? And some of us live wholeheartedly in delusion.
Dream world. Yeah. No doubt.
And listen, and Jay waves his hand like that, but believe it or not, I share a lot with him. You understand? I criticize him, I beat up on him quite a bit because in truth, I'm beating down my own delusions many, many times. Not all the time, though. Not all the time. Don't
In other words, you let him try it out first, and if he fails, you're like, God, I didn't do that.
I'm the canary. I'm the canary. Yep.
Something like that. So, Aaron, let's start off with you, sir.
Oh man.
What do you expect from indie comics?
So indie comics, so as a creator or as a reader of comics, or both? Both.
You know what? It's funny. I didn't even look at it from that aspect, but yeah, answer it how you feel it.
As a creator, I just want an outlet for me to make my comics and put them online. Whether I'm sell a lot is not a big deal. I'm having fun doing it and just be able to get it online. So if somebody says, "What do you make comics?" You can go here and buy it. That's pretty much it. What I would like to see more of, I guess, expect from indie comics as a reader is maybe more variety of genre, I think. And maybe more like focus more on the storytelling and less on the spectacle, if that makes sense, like covers and stuff. Beyond that, that's kind of it. As a creator, I'm pretty low key. I print my little 25 comics and then I sell them, and I'm good to go. As long as I make enough money to do that, I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
My goal is to have fun in comics. So.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's fair. See, those cartoonist people, those writer artist people,
Mhm.
they can afford to do that. You talk to my
Yeah, I
wife.
know. Talk to the writers like we have to actually pay people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you saw my budget, you'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, I know.
An absolute heart attack.
Yeah.
So
Mark, what are your thoughts?
So a couple of things. One, I totally agree. I got into this 6 years ago, and I'm going through previews, and I'm like, white dude, white dude, white dude, underwear, beating up white dude, white dude, white dude. And I'm like, I love my white dude beating up other white dudes in their underwear comics. I get my Daredevil books every month. I get my Batman books every month. I love it. Okay. The spectacle, the opera, the whole part of it. But there's a hole there. There's stories not being told there that I think are probably going to be interesting. So I'm always on the eye for those marginalized people and the stories they're telling, and those like people of color, LGBTQ plus, all that sort of interesting new versions of stories that we have never heard before. Like I don't know about you guys, but I have this comic where a young guy meets an old wizard, and he has to defeat a big bad evil at the end of it, but he gets a special magic guy. Like we've heard this a billion times already. Like, let's tell some new stories, and hey, let's put some people of color and let's put some women in the lead. And so that's what I started. The second part of that is, as a reader, the second part of that is a reader is, I think that we are in a renaissance of indie comics now. Since we're not all young men here, so we've seen
speak for
different
yourself.
times of period of the comic book industry. And if we had told ourselves as high school kids that the amount of books that are indie books that are in the stores, that almost like my local comic book shop has a shelf of DC, a shelf of Marvel, and then 4 other shelves of indie books for the new books that week.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you go in every week and you're like, I never thought of that before. Like, that's a cool thing to see. Let me try that book, So I'm always on the lookout for those new books, and those books that are not, the McFarlaneization of comics, which, lots of people like McFarlane. It's absolutely great. He's a fantastic artist. I'm not going to take away from the dude. It's insane businessman, but it's not my thing, Like, you look at different comics that are done that have different styles that you never would have even thought of looking at a book that style before, that can get published now.
I do.
I totally think of those. Image a little less so, but Dark Horse, Dynamite, and Boom definitely I think of as indie publishers, because they're doing so much different things than the big two are doing.
I mean,
I have a thing about that. If you have commercial
here we go.
license,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But if you have commercial licenses, I think that takes you out of the indie circle. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dynamite's got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Wait, no, Boom's got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Dynamite's got like Darkwing Duck and other things. Image has got Transformers and G.I. Joe. Yeah, I think that removes you from being. You might publish stuff that's indie, but you're not in yourself an indie publisher.
all right, so
Dark Horse had Star Wars.
hold on for a second, Joe. Hold on for a second. I just want to introduce from the 50s, Mr. C. Michael Landon. Please introduce him.
Hey, I'd have changed it on time. C. Michael Landon, independent artist, worked with Hazard Productions on Doghouse. This guy up here that wants to make fun of my color deficiency. Magi's Grace and other things. Plus, Art Style Kamikaze on Indie Comics Network. And sometimes that guy up there in the right-hand corner, Timothy Fling, likes to let me in on his shows when we talk about aliens and ghosts.
UFO research team, shout them out.
Right.
You guys are killing it. Our top, I'm not kidding now, our top viewed podcast. It's a dead heat between UFOs and ghost sightings.
Yeah.
Let me call a TV timeout over here for a second. I'm always inviting you, Lanning. You never want to come on my show, bro.
You invited me one time at a bad time.
Brother Flower, bro.
Well, no, but it also, hey, also in my defense, you decided that you wanted to run your show against my show at the same time. So I mean, really, we're competitors.
I didn't know that.
So I mean, but I think we're changing it. We're changing the date on the day on Orstown Kamikaze. So
also, you can come on mine. You can come on.
I guess I could come make fun of you. I mean, you know.
You bastard.
All right. So, Braxton, what are your thoughts on the question?
I kind of piggyback off of what Mark said. Everything he said, I want fresh stories, and that's going to be with fresh storytellers. That's going to be with different characters. I mean, somebody's got to look different at some point in time. I mean, the idea that everybody has to have the same plot line, same story, and the same type of people in it is just ridiculous. That's not a reflection of what the world is. The reason I got into science fiction way back in the day, to be quite honest, is because it was the one platform that actually told stories, and it didn't matter about ethnicity or anything like that. It was really just about characters and stories. You know, the one overlying theme is you had to have an antagonist, a protagonist, and you had to have a hot chick. And I was all for that, you know. And that was pretty much in every successful sci-fi story. There's a hot chick and there's an antagonist and a protagonist, and that's about it. So if you change those people around and you put a different person in the role, it didn't really matter. If the story was good, the story was good. When I got into writing, especially when I write comics, because I do screenplays, I really stick to 3-act structure. So I stick to 3-act structure in my novels. I do it in my scripts. And a lot of people say, well, you can't do that in a comic because it's too short. That's not true. It basically just percentages, you know, first 15% of your act 1. The rest of that is going to be made up of act 2, and your last 20% is probably your act 3. And if you can really do a great job at using those tools that go with the structure of 3-act structure, I mean, you got a fantastic story that will really take the reader on a journey of that hero. You know, it's all about the hero's story. You know, what happens in the beginning? What's the inciting incident? How do we have those peaks and valleys along the way through act 2? That carries us into the climax of act 3. And if you can pull that off, then you've got a great story. And that's why I'm really a stickler for it, because I believe that comic books are really the ultimate dynamic form of writing, because in a screenplay, I'm really directing the director. I'm trying to tell them what it is. I'm telling the actors what the lines look like and all of that. In a novel, I'm really just kind of pulling at your brain to see if I can get you to see the things that I see when I'm writing. And I allow the person to run along with their own imagination to create what these characters and these settings and these worlds look like. But when I get to a comic, I become all of that. I become the director. I become the director of photography. I become the AP. I become everybody, you know. And if I have a good relationship with the artist who's doing my comic, man, it's just magic, you know. So when I write those pages, I'm really intentional about exactly how I end the page and how I start the next page, knowing that somebody's going to turn that page, hopefully, if I've done my job right. And I'm looking at all those panels and making sure that they make sense and that the flow makes sense. And that when that artist gets me back those images, I've been blessed that in the ones that I've written so far, it always overcomes my expectations of what that page was supposed to be. So I think if we stay with the magic of it, indie, if we're really just talking about indie being about budgets and things like that, then that's the only limitation. But other than that, I think there's some fantastic stories out there that are being told by people who are very imaginative, and some amazing artists who are putting the graphic novels and the comics books out there that are the big names to shame with some of their work.
Yeah.
All right, cool. It's funny. I don't even know where to go anymore because C jumped in. Actually, C, why don't you answer the question?
What's the question?
The show question. What do you want from indie comics?
What do I want from indie comics?
Yes, sir.
Money? No, I'm just kidding. I'm really
You ain't kidding.
Fair answer.
Fame, fortune.
No, yeah, you know,
Fair answer.
nothing big, you know, rule the world. No.
I was there when
No, really, just creative expression more than anything. To get whatever in here out, just to get it out. That's what I want from indie comics, and I want to be able to curse other people with what's in here, put it out there so everybody else can be haunted by what's in my head. So that's it, and that's really it. And of course, and also to hopefully to be inspired and to inspire others, because if you can inspire others to think outside the box with what you do, then that means that's more stories for you to consume and be inspired by, and it becomes a whole cycle. So that's what I would say would be the definitive answer to that for me is what do I want out of indie comics? A continual cycle of good stuff.
All right. Fair enough. Mr. Fling.
Saving the best for last. Here we go. Ready? I don't particularly want a whole lot from indie comics, and I don't expect too much either. I think I speak for a couple of us when I say something like the reason we're doing it in the first place is not because we heard it's a smart thing to do, and certainly not because we heard it was profitable. It's something much more nebulous than that. It's something along the lines of something is driving us to make these products. Maybe I'm speaking for myself. Feel free to chime in here. But we already determined on the other podcast, it's probably not money. If money was our primary factor, we'd all be selling cars, right?
Yeah.
So why are we making indie comics, which is the sliverest of the tiniest of the segments? It might be the smallest segments. I love to say as a little bit of a joke, it's right up there with people who make footwear for animals, right? It's just a really,
no, bro.
Yeah, I tell you, man, you go to a convention, you'll see what I mean. And by the way, that's in no way am I disparaging this. As you guys know, I love comics and it's in my soul and it's in my blood. And I couldn't stop making them if you tried to make me stop making them. So there's that, but it has more to do with what I want from indie comics is the ability to sustain enough income to keep making the next one. I wouldn't even say to be profitable because I know a lot of you guys in this room are just like me. You run your Kickstarter, you got a great big profitable book. What do? You spend it on the next book. You put it right into the next book, or if you're a big shot, I mean, I'm not picking any names or anything. You could be making action figures or making these huge 6-figure Kickstarters. Guys, this could be anybody. This could be anybody. I'm referring to someone at random. But I guess in my case, it's very specific. I would want to generate, you like that, huh, Jay? I'd want to generate enough income, just enough to make the next one. And by the way, that's one of the shortcomings of mine that please don't hear from my conversation. Oh, Tim's really good at this. This works every time. He makes enough to make the next one. I'm just barely hanging on by the skin of my teeth, man. Like it's like I say, in a perfect year, you can tell when things go perfect for me. I'll do 4 in a year. That's about my perfect production. Oh. 3 was the regular for probably 4 years, but then last year I only did 2.
Happens, brother.
Yeah, and that really had more to do with yeah, that's a good point, Dave. I was just now watching a show called Icons on Amazon Prime, and it talked about how they made the Lord of the Rings movies, and it was this massive 3-film undertaking, and they didn't have enough bread. So what they did was they sold the distribution rights ahead of time, and that was how they got enough money to make basically 2 and 3. And I remember thinking, man, that's genius. We got to have some kind of concept like that for making comics, or maybe we should be making films. I don't know. Sounds like one of us is already. But, unfortunately, I don't know enough about making films, or I suppose I'd be moderately interested in that. I am interested in writing and in screenplays, but I will, I'm going to save my answer for the next one because I see a little bit of drama, a little bit of trouble on the crowdfunding horizon that I read today. And I'm going to wait till it's my turn to ask the question, but I want to hear what you guys think of it.
Jay, what are your thoughts on the question?
All right, here we go. I would like, from my standpoint, for people to stop trying to figure out how to fix the industry and fix the work that they're putting out. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice. Nice.
Right? You got everybody always trying to, build a better mousetrap, and the only person they're catching in a mousetrap is themselves. Take that time, take that energy, and do what Braxton said. Learn 3-act structure. I mean, really simple. Take your 21, 22 pages, right? Divided by 3, 7, 7, 7. 7, 7, 7. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Math is not my strong point. Right? And then that's your first act, your second act, and your third act. Build your foundation so that way you can learn to become a better storyteller. When people are more interested or like the story that they've just read, they will tell others and they will buy the next one. And that is how you're going to organically grow. This is not something that you are going to get to the goal line in an instant. You got to build, right? Mark, you said this earlier. Look at us. Look at us, right? I don't got the Stanley sideburns for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm graying over here.
Reed Richards.
I see
Reed
that.
Richards.
You know what I mean? See, he's cheating. The motherfucker went black and white, but he's not gray in there. He's not gray in there.
Yeah, he likes those old school comics.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
We're doing this for a minute. We've learned. We're still learning. We don't have the answers. That's why we're over here talking to each other, right? Because we're trying to share information that maybe we may have picked up on another show and just exchange that with everybody else.
All right.
It may not apply to everyone, but if people can pick up tidbits, then that will help you grow, right? That's how you fix the industry, learning from each other. Shut the fuck up. Stop getting into problems with other people. Stop trying to flame this one. Stop trying to fucking tear down somebody else's work, because the same shit could be applied to your work. Nobody's stuff is perfect. Work on your books. Please work on your books.
Yep.
I want to see better.
Absolutely.
And that
Like
goes
better.
for you. That goes
Like-
for you.
When you say better, because I always hear that, not to interject,
Okay.
because I always, when people say I want great stories, I'm like, well, what is that exactly? What does great mean? Because it's a very nebulous statement, and so I know the 3-act structure I can see working on that. I know the other one that is my biggest problem is show don't tell. I can't count how many comic books I see that just tell me the story. I'm like, why am I supposed to care about any of this? Because you told me to. The other thing too is slow down. Tell your story. Writers go so fast. They want to get to that action, that fight, like that. Slow down. Play those drama scenes, those quiet scenes. Play that dialogue. Develop your characters, because if nobody cares about the characters, they're not going to care about the fight. So that's how you have to get there.
Yep.
And I've seen that. Oh, go ahead.
I'd add along with that is don't write your epic first. Write a small.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
We've all had that pitch at our table of, okay, first of all, it starts with a new universe. And you're like, oh.
Right. It's 800 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually heard it said before that people who don't write epics, who can't write epics. So,
Because they're invested in the world building. That's what they love.
Yeah.
They're dreaming. And that's great. I'm not trying to tear that up, right? But let me throw a success story from another medium for a second, just very quickly. Right? The movie Terrifier. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
The third one came out. How many millions did it make off of how small of a budget? Right? This is the third one. But he showed up as a cameo in something the director had done, and then the character showed up in an anthology. He was not fully developed in either of those two first incarnations. And then he did a crowdfunding campaign, raised somewhere between about $35,000 to $40-something thousand to make the first film, and he built it. And that's been a long road. But people don't see that. People don't see, oh my God, it made X million dollars right now in the theater. Okay. They see him showing up in some rock band's video, tearing people up. Yeah, we want that. We want that cross-pollination. Yeah. But it took him a while to get there. Bless him.
And now he's a character that's getting right up there with Myers and Jason and Freddy and everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just like, Superman had a black diamond S on his chest, right? The Terrifier did not look like he does now. It takes time, folks. It takes time.
And you got to introduce that IP. Like so many sort of things I hear about, they assume you know their IP already, and I'm like, you got to introduce that character, even if it's a page. Just give me something that lets me ground on that character and understand that character.
Right. Yes. I mean, look, the most popular series in all of comic is X-Men, arguably, right?
Yeah.
Arguably.
How many times have we heard from Shooter or from Claremont that everyone's issue of the X-Men is going to be their first issue? So even though it was the middle of a storyline that we probably jumped into, right? You were still being reintroduced. Do we do that, Mark? Right? You're talking about that right now.
I
right?
absolutely do that.
Right? I don't always do that, and I got to remind myself. I'm like, right? We need to do that. At least put a ring.
Well, for Spirit, I did it on issue 3 because I forgot to do it in issue 2. You know, you're right. You forget to do these things.
You do.
Yeah.
What we did is because I'm a writer, I'm conscious of that somebody may pick up the book. I did 2 series. Somebody may pick up book 2. Well, where are they dropping in? You know, it's like writing screenplays. You drop in late and you leave early on scenes. You know what I mean? You want to keep the action moving, you want to keep the story moving, but you still have to appreciate that if somebody comes to a convention and you're selling your comics and you got like 5 issues out, they may just like the cover on 4 and they might want to just buy 4. Can that person actually pick up right there and still get an idea of how that character or those characters have gone on a journey? Mm-hmm. That's a challenge. But I always, when I'm writing, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, okay, they may not know. Can I just give a couple of little tidbits about this person in their attitude, the way they respond to things around them, so that somebody can connect with them? I think one of the biggest tools that I use is called anchoring somebody to humanity, because we understand that, you know, if you think about the story of The Mandalorian, guys walking around with a mask the entire time. Yeah, we like it because it's Star Wars and it's cool, but it really picked up when we anchored him to humanity by taking care of Grogu.
Yes,
that was because we all understand that. We all understand how to
that's the parent-child story. Yeah,
or we take care of somebody. We get that. That you don't have to preach that to anybody who took that show. The minute he's taking care of that little character, we connect somehow. So if you continue to just take your character as big badass as they are, or whatever, if there's some kind of connection to humanity, you've now got the reader going along with you saying, okay, I care about that character in some way. Whether you like them or you don't, you still have to connect them. So that's what I'm always trying to do. The minute I introduce you to somebody, what's the connection? How can I get somebody to like this character? You maybe even hate them enough to root against them and still read the story. What we did with us, since we had all these novels publishing over these years, and we actually had our own superhero universe, 6 different authors with 18 different titles. In 2020, we were like, what do we do next? We went ahead and said we wanted to start comic books. We wanted to continue to tell those stories, but in comic book form. So you would imagine if somebody like one of our authors, Kaio Champion, he's got 2 books of Majesties of Canaan and the novels. He now drops this comic, and the comic is just the next story in that series. He's got to still have an appreciation that people haven't read the novels yet. So tell the stories at least in a way that you can give them a whole new individual set of storytelling that they now want to go back because those characters were introduced and they feel like, man, I really like this character. I want to see how their origin started. And we had to build on that, you know? So that's what we did. We call ourselves more of a hybrid publisher because, hey, if you like novels, we got you. If you want comics, we got you here. But it's not like you're going to lose a whole ton if you pick up the comic book while we're selling it at the convention today. You'll still get what you need. But I got a funny feeling that you're going to like these characters so much, you're going to want to go back and read the novels and really, really kind of get all of that world building and character building from the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah, I find that one of the real strengths of comics is that we have that inside front cover. You can use it for 2 things. You can do an editorial, or you can do something where you introduce the prior story. You let people know what's going on. You give them a preamble to what's going on, what's happened in the past. And I feel that's worked very well for my series, and that's what I do with all my books. And I give a small preamble, boom, there it is. I used to put on all character bios. You could do that sort of thing. All the main character players, you can do that sort of thing. That works for some, because I like that because I'm old. And when I was a kid, you know, we would buy the comics, and I'm pretty sure you would see them in some of the older comics where you would read the comic, and yeah, they would do their best to introduce you to a story, but sometimes the story is a little too big, and the editor would tell you, he would leave you a little note. and it would say, "Oh yeah, go read issue blah 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 of this and
Right.
that," and then you try to go buy it and they're like $10, and I'm like, I'm 10. I can't have $10, at the comic book store. So it was like, so yeah. So I would rather that preamble where it gave you a more exacting thing than that little thing. Go buy, comic.
Yeah.
Go by issue 12.
That got out of hand there for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they're still doing it, but yeah, that got out of hand. So you
Right.
had to read 13
Well, that's-
issues before you get to that.
That's what I'm trying to do with Knocked. Each issue of Knocked is it's a
one
own
shot.
story. The one
Yeah.
shot. I don't number 'em either, and
Mhm.
so. But I've always been really fascinated by characters like Judge Dredd or Conan that are one-note characters. There's not much to them. They're just kind of forces of nature, and so the
Mhm.
joke is throwing what you can against them and see how they react.
Yeah.
The guy in Escape from L.A., Snake Plissken, is kind of like
Snake
that.
Plissken,
Kind of this
yeah.
one-note character.
Yeah.
And even Carpenter said, it's like when they did Escape from L.A., it's like, well, we just wanted to throw as much goofy shit at this character and see what he does, because he's Snake Plissken. And so I really like that. But I mean, even those characters are developed to a point. They don't change. I mean, I never expect Judge Dredd to ever change.
No.
But it's kind of fascinating that they don't change. I still remember one of my favorite stories is, I think, one of the other mega cities like attacked his, and so he launched the nukes and destroyed the other mega city. He's like, you just killed billions of people. It's like, yeah, but they broke the law. They tried to attack a judge or something like that. And it was just like, and that was it. And I was just
That
like,
was it.
that's crazy. So those type of characters fascinate me. In my Knocked in the beginning, I paraphrase the introduction of Conan, my own take on the Conan introduction. And so you definitely know where my influence is from. And then he's just kind of a one-note character. I do plan on developing more about him, but right now I'm just telling short stories. And each short story will kind of like reveal a little more. So if you get them all, you kind of reveal more of the character. But there's no overarching plot or goal. It's just me exploring this world I created through this character. That's one note for me.
Don't worry about it. You're gonna hit that story one day. You're gonna be like, damn it, it's 2 issues.
I know. I know. I am going to hit that story. I'm like, man, I need more than 24 pages, right?
Hey, yeah,
Giant
the best thing
guy.
about indie comics, though, right? You can always just do it longer if you have to.
That's it.
Yeah.
Damn right. Damn right. Let it breathe, man. Let
Yeah.
it breathe.
40 pager, giant sized.
That's
Yeah.
it.
What I did with Broken back here, as you see, this started off. This is a novel, 350-page novel. The book 2 is a 24-page comic. And then book 3 is a graphic novel, 60 pages. So what I did is exactly what JD said, is in the beginning of book 3, I have this whole preamble kind of summary of where we've come from. And it's not so much that you get exactly what happens in the novel in the first and the second comic, because I want you to start reading that. But it just kind of gives you this, here we are, and now we're dropped in. So boom, I'm dropping you in to this graphic novel. And now you're going to be like, man, I want to go back and see some of this other stuff. But I think if you think about what George Lucas did with Star Wars way back in the day.
Yep.
We always had that and the word he's bringing you along, because again, you start off with supposedly story 4, when it was Star Wars, that was 4. So he had to kind of say, hey, here we are right now, and 4. So he kept it when he went back to 1, 2, and 3, because he didn't need to do that and get him 1. But, you can just go fade out of black to a planet and you're starting the story. But he wanted to always give you this thing that sets you up to say, okay, let's go. And it's almost like his exposition moment, but he just did it in this little strip. So that's what I did with mine, is just give you this. I say, hey, people need to know where we are. We're in the graphic novel book 3, boom. And with all these little Easter eggs, the way I wrote it, it was like, oh, that thing kind of happened. Well, let me see how that happened. And maybe they'll go back and get the book in the comic,
Yeah.
That's
Right.
a tough call, right? Because too much exposition is like, I would say you're right, Braxton, that the Star Wars crawl is about the perfect amount.
Yeah.
And maybe even a little less than that is okay. Like,
Usually about 3 paragraphs, I think.
that's
see,
three
to me,
paragraphs,
that'd
most
be
of it,
that'd be too much to me, I think.
Yeah, 3
When
paragraphs.
we said, like I have the same thing. I like the books that are like the story so far. Like,
Right.
that was like a Chris Claremont thing. Hey, like a little
Right.
blurb.
Right.
But that also is, but potentially it's a little too much, right? Because it is a visual medium. You should be able to get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Right.
That's one man's opinion. So I think too much exposition, we talked about this last week, right? It can be a little bit of a block to the reader. They might say something like, hey, this is a visual medium. I want to dive in and learn it.
Right.
I don't want to have to hit this wall of text just to understand what's going on.
Right. I think the genius about exposition is always hiding it, right? So
Right.
if we look at and the king of kings of that was Game of Thrones TV show. I mean, they would have somebody screwing over here, and then they start giving you exposition while they're screwing, or they'd be cutting somebody's head off. They'd be just doing something outlandish that your mind is like you're looking at the scene, and they're explaining everything to you. It'd be so much better than if they were just sitting in a carriage talking heads, like running you through this whole narrative. You'd be like really bored. So I think what I do is if I'm going to give you that little bit, I'm going to give you at least this beautiful picture in the backdrop. So you're kind of looking at maybe it's just the world of Broken, something like that you're somewhat interested in what's going on. You're like, oh, let me see. Oh, this happened. Okay. And you turn that page, like you say, because you've got that comic book. The inside flap is maybe my copyright page. My exposition is here. And when we go here, boom, we're starting, because I always try to imagine when I'm writing my comic books, man, somebody pick up the comic book, the comic normally opens to the middle of the comic all by itself, right? And that's your one chance when you hand that to somebody who comes to your table. Those 2 pages right in the middle of the comic have to be fire, because that's the first thing they'll go, oh, and then they start
it falls open to those 2. The page is stapled right through the middle.
Absolutely. So I'm conscientious of that. If I'm writing a 24-page script, I'm looking at pages 12 and 13, man. We're right at the midpoint anyway, the way 3-act structure goes. So something normally pivotal happens at midpoint anyway. So if I'm doing my job, I'm going to give you some beautiful images along with what is critical in that turning point of that character anyhow.
So in the back of one of my notebooks, it might be hard to see. Yeah, it's probably hard to see. I have 1 to 32. What pages are on what side of the book?
Yep.
So I know when a page turn is happening, and I know when to do something that's 2 pages, like a reference from the left side to the right side and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. I'll answer my own question real quick, and it's gonna be. The only thing I really want from Indie Comics is to be able to complete my series, right? So I've got a long-standing series, the Oswald Chronicles. I got another one called Tall Tales, got one called Dreamweavers, working on one called Magi's Grace. There's just a bunch of stuff. But Oswald Chronicles is one I've been working on, and it's probably the one that's all-consuming at the moment. It's taken a long time, and I'm still working on it. But that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to complete. Now, before we move on to the next question, I actually want to get through the campaigns real quick, because I actually want to give Tim had a real interesting question. I actually do want to get to this question, but I want to share these campaigns real quick. All right. So we're going to try to run through these real fast. All right. So first up, we'll go in order. Aaron.
Oh yeah, that's my story.
Tell us about Mr. Noct.
Noct is a basically undead barbarian in a Halloween themed fantasy land.
Very cool.
Each story is basically just him encountering a twist. Like I did. The first one is Tricky. I think Trixie. The dog's name is Trixie. So she encounters her owner is a 2-headed Jekyll and Hyde. So one side's Hyde, one other side's Heckle, or like Hyde. So they call them like Jekyll and Hydes. And so I think if you go over, I think I actually put the Jekyll and Hyde in there. Let me see if I did or not. Nope, I did not. Okay. Anyway, he's in there, and so the new one I'm finishing up is about vampires, and so basically I make the vampire literally almost like made of blood. So I'm taking Halloween monsters and doing my own spin on them. And so the interior, so they're aimed for like middle school, high school. I mean, anybody can enjoy them, but it's supposed to be individual issues I can hand out to kids. So I'm trying to work on like the idea of like getting kids in the comics or whatever and stuff. I have a few nieces and nephews that like them. One girl just really was fascinated by him. So that's the idea. So if they find one, it doesn't matter. They can just pick it up and go. That was one where he finds a little skull in the dirt that's trying to roll its way to a cemetery to be with his long lost love. And Noct is hungry. He's always looking for food. That's his thing. He's always looking for food. So he's like, well, I'll take the skull to the graveyard if you get me food. And that was the thing. He's eating a tree. I think it's like a tree of like despair and ghosts. So the tree has blood and ghosts in it, but it was like too bloody and like not enough soul, I think is what I said. So there's humor in it. I mean, Barbarian needs food badly. If anyone from the 80s, they get that reference. Yeah. So, Barbarian. Yeah. So there's definitely humor and stuff in it. And right now I love doing this. So I'll probably do these for, I don't know, years to come, just having fun with it. And then my other one is Goblins, which is my 12 issue. Like you're saying, nobody does the epic first. Well, I did do my Epic First. I mean, Epic First is out of the way, so now you get to do these fun ones. So that's how that works. And then I have posters. I have 2 kids books that I've done that I will be putting back in the store shortly. I'm low on stock. And so, yeah, no Kickstarters. I just basically make my stuff, put it on the store. That's Godlings. You probably see I don't do a lot of humans. So that's why I just kind of, I think humans are kind of boring. And I think fantasy and stuff is an easier way to prove points. Godlings is about 3 young gods that don't want to be gods. And so they leave the kingdom, and in the process end up destroying a lot of stuff inadvertently. So there's some philosophical ideas in there because my minor is philosophy in college. And that's all done. That's all pencil and then color. So all the lines are pencil lines. I didn't ink it. And again, it's funny because we were talking about, I was thinking like, minorities and stuff. I'm like, well, what better minority to represent than somebody who's not human at all? And so that's anyway, I like drawing creatures or whatever. So I'm always going to stick towards that.
Yeah. I blinked at that statement too. My stories are about robots.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Your stories are great. I like Water Wars. I love that stuff. So yeah, and all 13 issues you can buy the graphic novel, which is 300 pages.
Yeah.
And it's all done. JD's read it. I'm not sure who else. I know JD read it.
These are gorgeous pages, Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank
beautiful.
you. So
one of the best books out there, Aaron.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Very nice. So when can we expect
The Knock 3?
Knock 3. Yeah.
I'm hoping by next month. I got 5 pages left to do. So I got Christmas vacation coming up. So I got time to work. So tomorrow I'm hitting page 20 and 21, 22. So yeah, once I'm done, then it usually about a week or 2 to get it back in print. So yeah.
All right, cool. Mark.
So this is me, Strange Ranger number 2, Night of the Troll Badgers. It's about a young woman who's in charge of a park that she is solely responsible for, and then finds it full of supernatural creatures. Issue 1 was about finding a lost child, because if you do anything about parks or national parks, lost children are a huge part of it. So I wanted to include that. This is a little different though. The Night of the Troll Badgers are like chaotic, fun, destructive. They eat everything, and they've overtaken the park in the time it's taken to for Agatha, the main character, to be away. I also like the idea of characters who are not human. Esme in this book is a shapeshifter. There's a whole race of shapeshifters, and there's a weremoose, Gord the weremoose, which people just seem to like that character. And he's fun, and he's that big lovable character that you have, and it's really a story about touching on what you were talking about earlier about adding the humanity. It's really about the first time you're given huge responsibility, and everybody has a tough time with that. No one goes, "Oh wait, I'm super responsible now." So, and the way you get through that is finding good people to work with, and that's what happens here. On top of all that, there's jokes and fun, and there's a big villain and things like that. I write 32-page books that are complete stories in themselves, but I use the Buffyverse model of there's a big bad that goes through all the issues that is, pulling strings on the troll badgers and all sorts of things. I do want to point out the artwork is done by a young man named Janssen Carbonell, who's on the screen right there, a kid from Dominican Republic. Fast, so good and easy to work with. Just an interesting creator, collaborative, all sorts of fun stuff to go with him. I also have a cover by Melissa Caprione, who does the interior pages on my other book called Spirit. And then we have another cover by Kaylin Smith, who is another kind of indie Kickstarter superstar of that sort of genre. All my books are kid books. It is so important to me that any kid comes up to my table and can look at any book. And to tie into what we were talking about before, I want my books to be give you the urge to make comics. So you read that book, and you go, I could do this. So I'm going to go make some comics.
That's kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah, the artwork's fantastic. Strange.
Yeah.
Now, is that Strange Ranger? Is that just like a one-shot story for the
That's the first issue. That's the Lost Child issue.
Okay.
So is it a limited series or is it?
So there'll be 4 issues of
Mhm.
Strange Ranger that'll be put in a trade, and there'll be 5 issues of Spirit, and this will maybe be part of what we talked about before. It is without cons, it's hard to sell floppies. It's very hard to sell floppies, individual floppies, to people, and it's certainly difficult to sell to other stores or other distributors or libraries. So I eventually want to get there, but not everybody can raise 30 grand on a Kickstarter. So I'm just doing my own. So.
I love that picture with the
yeah, that's
Kaylin
Smith's cover, and she totally gets, like, when I explained the idea to both Janssen and Kaylin Smith, they were like, "Oh yeah, I get this. This is fun."
Nice. No, this is really awesome. So I mean, how long have you been working on the project?
So this project has started last year. I did 2 Kickstarters within 100 days of each other. And I barely remember the next 2 months. I kind of burnt myself out to a crisp. So I knew I was only going to do 1 Kickstarter this year. So I knew I wanted to do it late in the year. And so really what happened was I got to the end of issue 1, and you're lettering your comic, because I letter the comic too, and I just on a lark put at the bottom issue 2, Night of the Troll Badgers. I didn't know what Troll Badgers were. I didn't know. I knew what night was, but that was about it. Nice. So I kind of took some time to figure out what I wanted to do, and it's kind of Gremlins crossed with Jack Black with Insanity on top of it all. So that's I really wanted to have a fun second issue, because we dealt with a lost and missing child in the first issue, and it's difficult. I think we did a really great job, but I think that I wanted it a little lighter for the second issue.
Right. That's cool. Listen, man, I mean, it looks awesome. You've already funded, right?
Yeah, we already funded. So
10 days ago, 123 bucks.
This is my 5th one in a row that is funded. So
nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Congratulations. I mean, look, you're heading in the right direction. Hopefully we'll get you a few more backers, and
And Janssen has done every other issue with you, or no?
Janssen's done every Strange Ranger book, and he said last year his favorite activity of the entire year was working on Strange Ranger. And this is a Ringo nominated artist, so I'm like, okay,
way to be.
Yeah, cool.
Let's do this. So It was funny when I was looking for an artist to do Strange Ranger. I passed Melissa, my first artist, his page, like his Instagram. I said, "What do you think of this person?" And she was like, "That's great, but he can't do Spirit because that's my book." I'm like, that kind of loyalty for the creative product makes a much better product, I think.
Yeah. Very nice. Cool. All right. Let's.
I want to say I'm a little upset that Braxton is not wearing glasses. Everybody else on the panel is wearing glasses tonight.
Yeah, didn't you get the memo? Come on, man.
Dude.
I'll tell you the truth. I do wear glasses, but I still have 20/20 vision. I got an astigmatism. So if I'm going to be looking at small print up and down because I'm actually farsighted, then I will. But unfortunately, gentlemen, I'm not looking at any prints.
What you need is the moment now. You need the Kirk moment now where you turn around and you put on the little astigmatism.
I did. I was like, do I have my glasses in?
Well, I think he got on the air with glasses and he saw us and he's like, fuck that. And so he put the glasses down.
Yeah, look a little different, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Braxton, talk us through this. What are we looking at?
So this is Cosmic Media Productions. If you scroll down, just keep going. We kind of made the website as easy to navigate as possible. If people just like genres, they can click on new adult, fantasy, music, rap, novels. These are all of our novels that we have for fiction and nonfiction. If you go down a little bit more, and when they click on them, they'll just see a whole, selections of all that we have to offer. Self-help. We've got our partners. We use Metametrics, who kind of helps to rate our novels, because a lot of them we do get into the school system. So it kind of tells them what age range is safe for their readers. Fantasy Art Studios actually helped with a couple of our with the Bark series. And then River Park Media, when we were doing a lot with getting film representation, we were working with them as well. But if you go all the way back up to the top, I'll show you our Star Child Comics store, so you guys can click on a couple of comics and see some of the pages and the artwork. If you go to storefront to the left, nope, go to storefront to your left, just to tab over there. There it is, storefront. And then just click on that right there. Boop. The website's behaving nice, so I'm happy. But yeah, so these are our comics here. We've got what I don't know about you guys, I've kind of learned everybody loves their own superheroes, so it's kind of hard to sell your superheroes all the time. So it's good to have a nice mix of just individual stories. I think people, when I find comic book readers, especially in the indie scene, they want stories probably that don't try to get them invested in a superhero, because I already love Superman, so why would I buy your kind of a thing, you know? So we try to offer them a little bit of variety. That's why I got the Broken stuff up there. We got ANVK, which is African Ninja Vampire Killers from Kaio Champion. That one's a great story. It takes place in Johannesburg, Africa. And then if you scroll down some more, you see some of our superhero guys. The Cape, which is my comic. If you click on that one in the middle there.
Right there, yeah.
That was the one that I wrote. I worked with an artist named Bruno Abdias. He actually does. I got him when he was much more, He does the Cyborg series now. So he is just a brilliant artist. I mean, his pages, when I got him, like, wow, I got him when it was cheaper. now I can't afford him. But Bruno's just on another level.
Yeah, I see him making the circuit, working on some movie stuff too.
Oh man, yeah, Bruno is amazing. So I just kind of threw that idea of the cover to him. I was kind of like, hey, put some of the main characters in, and he did this, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, that's what I was looking for, kind of a thing. But and then the Cape, that represents book 3. But like I said, I did book 1 and 2. The Cape was the original novel, and then the Cape Overdrive was the second book, and then I came out with Hellfire, which was the comic. And if you go down, I use another artist now I finally am releasing the sequel right there, the Cape Book 2, The Fabulous Five. So this comic actually comes on the heels of where we first crossed over our main characters from me and 2 other authors that we use in our superhero series. We crossed them over into Infinity 7, which is basically like our Avengers Assemble kind of thing. And I used a different artist in this one. This is Marcelo Silva he's also from Brazil too. So he's really, really great too.
I know Marcelo. And you got some good artists, Braxton.
Oh, thank you. We've been blessed, man. I really love our artists. I love working with these guys. They just put in so much hard work and dedication. And when we write these scenes and these panels, they just go all out. So I'm really excited because this was finally the sequel to Hellfire, which the main character Paladin is kind of handing the mantle down to the next generation of young teen, kind of like Teen Titans, who are going to take over for the Capes now. So they're a group called the Fabulous Five, and I think it came out really, really great.
It looks awesome, man.
Thank you. That's a 27-page comic there. And then what's this last one here? I think that's So kind of like a little Miles Morales, this main character that I have in here.
I like that art too. That's really nice looking.
Thank you. Yeah. His name is Icon. So he can't be killed. So that's why he's called he's like an icon. And but every time he dies, when he comes back with a new power. But his window is starting to shorten. And there's going to be to a point that if he finally dies, that will be it. So it's got a lot of cool stuff in it.
But this is great art. But if you go back to that page, another thing that I love about that page is I can't read that text, right? But I know those 2 characters are together in the first panel. Something happens.
Yep.
There's some use of power, and then the last panel shows me a tiny resolution in that one page. That's fantastic visual storytelling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good page.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's important. Like I said, a story is the biggest thing for me. If I don't feel like the story is flowing, and I don't care what the images are, I think comic books are a good excuse because the novels have a lot of detail. I'll take you through all the, like I said, the world building, the character building, all of that great stuff. But when I get to the comic, I know that people want to see some great visuals. But at the same time, the story has to have a nice flow from left to right and up and down across the page. So by the time you get off of this page, you're like, okay, now they're at school. Now they're characters that everybody can identify with because they've gone to school at some point. What happens now? So there's this whole kind of narrative that goes along with him being back at school because he's basically just been brought back to life when this comic book opens up because he's introduced in one of the novels where they actually kill him off. So
does he come back as the same person?
He is, but it's very different. It's very, very different. If you go back out again, I want to just kind of show you guys Broken when you go back. If you just hit back, if you go up all the way to the top there, I'll click one more time up. Sorry. So Broken is one that I work with an artist. He's amazing too. His name is Rom, and he's out of Brazil, and he just doesn't offend. This cover was like. He came off with this cover idea. I wanted to kind of build in, so you see the reflection on the knife that Kisa, the main character, is carrying, and you've got these three factions that are kind of running the land after the all-out nuclear war. You've got the zombies at the bottom. I call them ashers. It's just people who've ingested the ashes of the nuclear fallout, and they've turned into this mindless zombie beasts. You also have the hoarders, the second character there with that hockey mask, kind of just people who just ravage the land for resources and things like that. And then you have the establishment, which is more like the police. Broken takes place in Savannah, Georgia. After all-out nuclear war, 70% of the population of the earth, everything just dies out. People go to the coastlines for fresh water in order to survive. And since money has no value anymore, people become trading. So basically, it's a class-based system. If you don't have anything, you become a slave. So it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be enslaved by the establishment. And they set up these pods around the world where basically people are just made to work the land. So in here, because the story was so rich in the novel, where I really talk more about the relationship with Kisa and the hoarders and the establishment, I got a chance to really show off and have more action scenes with the ashers, so people can kind of see the ashers, kind of some nice zombie killing in here. So I wanted to put that on display more in the comic book.
Listen, you always need more zombie killing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So is this a one shot? I mean, how many issues are you looking to do?
Yeah, so like the novel was book one. The comic book, the 24-page comic is book two. The graphic novel is out now. That's a 60-page graphic novel. And then I'm working on the novella now, which will probably be maybe 15,000 words. So it might run you close to 100. And that, depending on the flow, it may or may not finish up the 4-book series, or I am thinking about finishing up again with another visual comic to kind of close it all out. But I'll see how the story goes once I get into the novella.
Okay. Yeah, man, the stuff looks awesome.
Thank you.
You have really good artists.
Thank you.
This book looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was when it was like Ninja Vampire. What was it?
African Ninja Vampire
Killers. Yeah.
Insane. One of our authors, Kaio Champion, came up with that one. And these guys, they've got some they use these little young kids use technology because people are starting to disappear in their hometown, and they're realizing that it's these vampires that are behind everything. We use an artist out of Nigeria. It's a female named Eliza, and she is just sick. I mean, she is just fantastic. So yeah, the stories in here with so we basically got, who doesn't want ninjas and vampires in the storyline? That speaks for itself.
Very nice.
I like the logo too, the fangs.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Right, cool.
If you guys like bounty hunters, I got my Steel Rain series is on here too. And that was based on the novel that I wrote. It ended up being an American Legacy. See it right there, Steel Rain? American Legacy finalist for Science Fiction of the Year award. So I basically come out with a comic book, which ends up being the prequel. So this kind of starts off Steel Rain's story before he gets into the actual novel.
Okay. Now, all of these are available physical and digital, or just digital?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If they go to the website, they'll be able to buy them directly from us for the physical, and then the actual digital stuff is all on Amazon. They could just download them on the Kindle.
All right, cool. Now,
Man,
what's
you
the
guys got
URL?
me on this show so I could go to the poorhouse. I'm like, the books I gotta buy tomorrow, man.
Yeah. Well, but what's the website?
For this?
Yes.
Oh, right here. You're right on it. You're in the store.
No,
Cosby.
I know I'm on it. It's not for me. It's for the benefit.
Oh, okay.
of people watching.
It's www.cosbymediaproductions with an s.com.
There you go. I have it in the links. I have it in the show notes. It's there, but I always ask just so everybody knows. Kickstarter, everybody's used to, just going to Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
So this is a website. It's a little different. So I wanted you to say it. So, but
I
the stuff looks
appreciate that.
incredible, man. It looks great, Braxton.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. I mean, I hope you sell a lot of books.
Appreciate it.
All right, so let's see. Then we got, I mean, I've unfortunately, Mark, I've heard this complaint before. You come on.
I've added the link down there in the comments. I'll be adding everybody's links in the comments.
There you go. Thank you. Mr. Tin.
You know what? That's my book right there.
Do you want me to play this video?
No, I'll walk you through it.
Okay.
So what am I doing, right? What am I doing?
What are you doing?
So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. One of the things we talk about is that it's increasingly difficult to market independent books. And I'm going to touch on that when the next question comes up. And one of the things people say is you've got to take a victory lap. And that is essentially what they mean by that is using multiple crowdfunding sources. Allegedly, they do not overlap. We're about to figure this out. But I'm a Kickstarter user. I've done 7, or I think we said it was 8. It might have been 8. And for the first time, this is the collected trade paperbacks going to be available on Indiegogo. It's a 2-book set that you see here. The one on the left is about 108 pages, and the one on the right is about 150 pages. So it's 250 pages worth of carefully written sci-fi short stories. And as we've kind of touched on before, I'm not in this for the money. What am I doing, JD? So we offer the guarantee here. The whole purpose of these books.
Yeah, you make money stripping, don't you?
Yeah, I wish I did. I got to come up with it somehow.
Why are you giving up my secrets, Aaron? That's not fucking cool, bro.
JD, no, we're cool, man. I got you. I know where to find you.
But in the case of this one, of course, they're available in floppies too. If people want to collect the floppy issues, that's 7 issues or something like that. But I do offer them as floppies for the comic collectors. And like I say, the whole goal of it is this is the book that will make you say, wow, that is a really good book. And we try to stand behind that with the guarantee. If you were to buy one of these books and you did not think that it was the best book you saw all year, just write to me. I'll give you your money back.
You didn't give me my money back.
It's because it was the best book you saw that year.
It was. I really like I like Waterboard, I have to admit it. It's like, man, get my money back or read this?
Yeah, so what we're doing, again, it's a little different, and that's why I'm glad to have the opinions of the people on this panel, because I'm not necessarily I'm a little bit probably more like Aaron in the sense that I'm on the fringes. I'm not doing anything with heroes, and there's not particularly violence or anything sexual. It's what they are. They're sci-fi short stories that are illustrated. And they start with, the preamble, which I think Braxton called it, or the story so far. It doesn't even tell you about the characters. It just tells you about the word. It's just a quick paragraph. It's like a blurb. And then it cuts right to the characters and how they're trying to survive that week. They are episodic, not too different from a Saturday morning TV show. But each book is a complete story. As a matter of fact, sometimes each book is 2 stories. There might be 2 12-pagers in there. But the secret is that, you get your one story in the world, and then you get your next story, and then you get your next story. And pretty soon you got these fairly impressive looking graphic novels. And in the case of the ones I'm showing you there, they both have Chrome logo. They're both Chrome spine. They've got maps. They come with downloadable theme songs. It's like a little bit of
very cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an experience, right? And it's available in digital, or if you like floppies, you can do that. If you like the graphic novels, you can do that. If you want to buy both, scroll up there just a hair, JD. where it shows the two books side by side. That's that one. In this case, unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at things, I got a bunch of issues out by now. So sometimes people say to me things like, well, matter of fact, it was Travis Gibb. We know Travis, right? He keeps saying, Tim, look, man, this is getting confusing. You've got all these issues and people don't really know how to buy it. It's already difficult to adapt to indie comics. And in the case of this, if you buy those two books, it's every single short story. It's 7 stories on the right and 6 stories on the left. And it's very much along the lines of, if you like something like Richard Matheson, I Am Legend, if you like the movie I Am Robot, you'll probably like this. If you like Isaac Asimov, if you like Harlan Ellison, any of those writers, you're going to like it. And it is the sort of classical illustration style. The team is mostly Brazilian. Like Braxton was saying earlier, if you like that sort of classic illustration style, it's going to be that way the whole way through the book. And actually, you know what? I did even bring I got a preview of the new book. Do you want to see it? I got a page preview.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to see your crap. That's kidding.
No, can you see that? JD will have to pop it up on the screen. So this is volume 5 goes into production this week, and that's Renan Shoddy. And he's got like a real command of the grays, right?
Yeah.
We're working with a new colorist. I mentioned in a couple of my columns, having some real problems with colorists this year. I'm not sure if it's my approach or what it is, but this is going to be the 4th colorist. Yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Michael. I appreciate you saying that. We're working really hard on this, and that's just one of the books that we make. But we're going to find out if I'm doing this correctly or not, because the question is, how do I want to say this? I follow a writer by the name of Russell Nolte. Do you guys know Russell by any chance? He writes a Substack. Yeah, part of his deal, he says, look, we're all doing our marketing wrong. We're always so concerned about making the next book. And man, let me tell you, I totally do it too. I get all worked up about making the next book when what I should be doing is analyzing how I can get the current book into more hands. It's something I'm really bad at. And I do some of the things right. I got a fairly active convention schedule. I do crowdfunding. I got a Substack. I do some of the right things. But Russell says you should be doing something like 40% creation and 60% marketing. And he says, if you're really aggressive, you should do 20% and 80% marketing. Because he said, look, you can be making the most beautiful book in the world, and it doesn't matter if nobody sees it.
Knows it.
And man, he's got a point. So my thing that I'm trying to focus on, and by the way, JD, same as always, you'll be able to tell me next year if I was wrong or not. Man, Tim sure was off base on this one. But I've got to start trying to use multiple streams. And in my case, that'll consist of, I'll do Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Substack, and YouTube is where you're going to find my material, my content. So this is the one that's going to be launching on Indiegogo any day now. I have very low expectations. I don't know what this thing's going to do, but they say that it is a separate audience from Kickstarter.
It tends to be, because I've run campaigns on Indiegogo. It tends to be, you have to bring your own audience, right? So that's definitely the difference. Yeah, you're gonna have to market it a little differently. So
Well, hold on. Let's get specific. When you say bring your own audience, how is that different than Kickstarter? That's question one.
Well, Kickstarter tends to have its own built-in audience. Like you can go in, right, not know anything, and just put up something. People will see it. People go looking through Kickstarter through the algorithm, and they'll see.
Right. And the first 48 hours and the last 48 hours of your campaign, they put you up on their newsletter with new products.
Exactly.
Right? I've been on Indiegogo. I didn't have that experience with them. Now, it's all about testing the waters. I'm not ever going to tell you not to do this or not to do that, right? It's your place to deal with your own experience.
Got to try it.
You got to.
But in your case, you tried it and you didn't love it.
I did not.
Can you be a little bit more specific? I'm lapsing into interviewer mode. Can you tell us a little bit about why you didn't love it?
Yeah, the community over there at Indiegogo, in my opinion, was not as supportive as what I was getting through the Kickstarter community.
But that's also why I suggest if you use Indiegogo, it's a secondary campaign platform.
Right.
That because you're not going to get the same support. You're not going to make the same amount of money. You might make a third, right, if you're lucky. So you can't expect the same amount of money.
I will tell you the hook with this though. If you are using something like the Backer Kit launch program, okay, it accepts your buyer list from both Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Well, but hold on. See, that would the part, and again, I don't know, so please be patient.
Okay.
How would that have any value? In other words, if I bring my list from Kickstarter, it's a list of people that have bought the book. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so let me.
What I want is new people. What I want is new people that are not on that list.
Here's the hook, and this goes through any form of business, right? The easy part is finding the new people. The hard part is maintaining those who have bought from you already and get them to come back.
Right.
I know we always want to look for new people. I do, but I also want to retain those 900 people that have bought from me in the past through my previous campaigns. And I don't always get that. Okay. I get maybe somewhere between the 36 to 45% return on previous backers, depending on my campaigns. But these
that's about where I am. I think 38%. That's a pretty respectable conversion. So let me ask you this. So in this case, my sense is it will take a different form. And here's what I mean by a different form. I'm not going to be pitching the Indiegogo on Facebook, maybe once or twice.
Why not?
Because, well, I don't necessarily think that that's my audience. What I'm going to do for the first time is I'm going to be putting it into Google ads. We talked about this last time with JD. You know, I've done Facebook ads. They don't do anything. I've done Twitter. It doesn't do anything. Instagram, I struggle there. So where I do well is Kickstarter, Substack, and YouTube. So it's going to somehow go around those three. But in this time, the advertising will go through Google and remarketing.
Okay.
Right.
I mentioned earlier about the X-Men books, right? How every issue there was always either a recap or Shooter would say that this is always going to be someone's first X-Men issue. There's always going to be somebody new on Facebook or Kickstarter or wherever finding you for the first time. Do not shut yourself off to any avenue of promotion ever at any point. At any point.
But his time,
new stuff, of course.
Jay, come on. His time, like your time, is limited, like everybody else's. He only has to focus. Focus on what he needs to focus on.
Okay, right.
You know, you got to get up at 4 in the morning. You're gonna be up at 2 in the morning sending out posts, right?
We're not. We're not. Exactly, we're not.
Like, you know, you.
That's why you have post scheduling. You could do that.
Right.
There you go. See, I like that.
And I am going to, in this case, on Kickstarter, I have not done this, but you know, you can leave the thing open for like late pledges or a storefront.
Yes.
I've never done that on Kickstarter, mostly because I didn't understand it, not because I'm smart in some way. But with Indiegogo, I am going to leave that open. This is something Aaron and I have talked about, which because I've got a website too, and I guess I do okay with my website. But I mean, no exaggeration, these crowdfunding sites, I'll do in one campaign, I'll do 20 times what I do on the website. So I'm guessing. Oh, go ahead, C. I hope this is about UFOs.
But you have seen. Well, here's the thing. But you have seen.
Do you have a question, C. Michael?
Well, you know there has been new controversy around Indiegogo lately, right? About not paying the creators and stuff that are on that. In fact, an associate of mine years ago had that problem. Yeah, had that problem too. Where
I'm sorry, repeat that problem.
Couldn't get the money from Indiegogo.
Okay.
For what was bought on Indiegogo. Okay. Not to mention, only do you have that, and there's been certain people coming out that are who kind of make these rounds that are known through certain circles. I don't really want to say those circles here, but I think if you read
some of the unpopular creators are on Indiegogo.
Right.
I'm aware of that.
But not that. No, I'm talking about them coming and bashing Indiegogo. Those who were successful on Indiegogo. One. Okay. Two, I have heard countless times. Now you are already on Kickstarter, so that might not be a case. But I've seen people, and with my wife's marketing, I've seen her market books that were on Indiegogo, and people would say, "Oh, I would get that book if it were on Kickstarter."
Right.
There's a lot of distrust for Indiegogo, and to be completely honest with you, this is the second time I've heard Indiegogo's name in the past 3 or 4 months. In fact, I had to ask the other day if Indiegogo was still a thing. So I don't see it.
But by the way, there's one other one which I'm real interested in trying since we're kind of having this conversation. Do you know about Fund My Comic?
Yeah. What's it? GoFund My Comic?
I think it's just called Fund My Comic. Yeah, and that's
is it called just
Stone,
okay?
Right?
Yeah, it's Fund My Comic and then GoFund Me.
GoFund Me. Okay, all right. I so many of them.
Before we start bringing those up and diving deep into them, I want to ask, how many people do you think are using those platforms compared to?
All right, hold on, JJ. Before you ask your question, hold on, wait, just hold on.
Yeah.
There's a reason. I got a reason. All right, because I have my own damn campaign.
No, tell him.
All right, I got 10 days.
I already backed this one.
There we go. Thank you, Mark. You're the best. When Tender Souls Born, issue 1 through 4, the Oswald Chronicles, featuring our intrepid mouse, Oswald, who encounters a young lady. Her name is Lydia. She happens to be a young lady. She's an elfess. She's cursed. And he takes her into his home. And despite the advice of all of his good friends, you know, things happen. And he's like, oh, why is everything going wrong and stuff? But you know, he ends up in a relationship with this young lady, and he finds out that not all good things, you know, everything may seem good, but it's not always, it isn't always. So that's what this is. And this is the entire series, this is the entire story, I should say. It's issues 1 through 4, and this is the complete set. The artist is by Renyo Tillis. He's out of Indonesia. He's an incredible artist. I have a couple of cover artists here. Fabio Simiao, he did this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of him.
And then this is one of Arenio's covers. That's for issue 4. This is Francisco Mannix. He did this cover for me. This
really yeah, sure. Yeah. Look at you, JD. All the heavy hitters.
You know, listen. I try to get the good guys when I can. And then Arenio did this cover as well. So there you go. So that's it. All right. So now, Jay, please ask your question.
I don't remember what I was going to ask. I got a different one, but Tim was chomping at the bit to ask his thing. Let's go with it because it sounds like.
All right, so here, let's do this.
So listen, I'm going to change directions just a little bit because you know I like to tie this into conventions. And what I mean by that is that you know we talked previously on the show about what some people feel are the diminishing returns of comic conventions. And let's be specific about that, okay? Generally speaking, this industry that we're in tends to take the form of something like this. First, we make the book. Then we go to crowdfunding. Then sometimes we go to a second crowdfunding, which we just discussed. Then the book goes to our web platform. And then we take the runoff to comic conventions and we rep the books at our booth. Is that pretty close to what you guys are doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, me too. And my suggestion is, and I was talking about this a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I was on JD's show, and I got a couple of messages because I pointed something out, which is a little bit of an unpopular truth, and people have started to notice this, which is that at comic conventions, the creators have become the product. Now, what I mean by that is that I want to say this in a way that doesn't disparage anyone. Hey, we're all creators and there's lots of room. It's a big tent. We can all make these great things. The thing that's challenging is you might spend the same amount for your booth as the person next to you who's making custom Pokemon stickers. Mm-hmm. And the one next to them is custom dog food in the shape of Lord of the Rings. And it's just like, wait a minute, man. Like, and I don't mean this in a way like I'm an elitist or I'm some kind of jerk. I would love to share a booth with any of you guys or maybe team up somehow. But the fact is, when I'm next to the dog food lady, I'm not sure that's good for my brand. And right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not disparaging anyone. So I don't mean it like that. But there has to be some kind of, you know, I love to say this. If we were in bands, right? Say that Mark and I are, he's the drummer and I'm the bass player, and we're getting ready to go on stage. The place where we're going to play, the bar, would recognize that we were the talent. And in fact, we might even be getting paid to go there. So what I don't understand is why more creators aren't comped their tables.
Right.
This is one man's opinion. You ready? All of us in this room have shown a remarkable ability to publish on time. We've got a relatively broad product line, from everything from kids' books to Conan to sci-fi. We've covered everything right in this room. So please be honest with you. Raise your hands if you get comped for tables at conventions.
Oh, God, no.
So none of us do.
And
that's a little bit of a telling statistic.
I mean, I have, but not recently.
Yeah, and look, I get two or three a year, maybe.
I just got comped for a table.
Really?
I did it last month. Yeah, I got comped for a table.
Yeah, and I occasionally get comp too, which I'm not complaining about that. I realize that it's not a reality thing to get comped every time. But I also realize in my economic reality, if I'm going to spend on a weekend, you and I talked about a weekend in Baltimore is easily a $2,000 weekend when you get food and parking and 2 hotel rooms or 3.
Yep,
It adds up fast. It adds up fast.
Rather go to Disney World or Paris.
Right, exactly. Or and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't know all the answers, guys. I'm hoping somebody will tell me. If you had $1,500 to $2,000 to blow that you were going to rep your book at Baltimore, what would the return be if you took $2,000 and put it into Google ads or, I don't know, a billboard alongside a major highway? We've got to start thinking a little differently. When I say me, I mean collectively comic creators. I don't just mean us in this room. But I realize now that, and by the way, I'm a relatively good salesperson, as you guys know. I was in sales for many years. So every convention we do, I sell a ton of books, probably more than average. But the truth is, you've got to be humping the whole time. I mean humping. Don't even sit down to eat your lunch or you're going to not crack your nut.
Matt Garvey says, don't sit down.
Right. Yeah. And you got to try and get every person. And let's do another show of hands. I bring people with me as helpers because if I get one customer, I need somebody free to help them. You bring a staff, I bring a staff. Okay.
Hey, Jay, my wife comes with me and helps me sell.
Damn right.
Damn right,
build
in,
oh, yeah.
Build in help. Yeah.
Oh, bro. Oh, yeah. And the wife has a code word, too, because I get a little long in the tooth. I talk, I yap more than I should. So there's always a code word to get me to shut up, right? And move on to the next person. But also one of the reasons why I bring the team, because while I am trying to cultivate this sale, they are trying to cultivate other ones, right? Yep. And sometimes it's set up as they're the leads and I'm the closer. So we will cycle that, right? Dude, I got conventioning down to a science. And Tim, let me be the first to answer this. I don't care if I'm comped or not. It doesn't make a difference for me, right? I'd rather pay my table because maybe this is a backwards thinking for me. I'm not beholden to you now. We have a contract. I gave you money. I expect this stuff to be done. I expect you to hold up your end of the contract. All right. If you're comping me the table and, oh, Jay, you know what? I ran out of tables. You're going to have to go pick up your own one. Oh, Jay, I ran out of chairs. You're going to have to pick. Oh, Jay, I'm sorry.
They don't do that. They don't have you fetch lunch if they comp you a table. If anything, you get a little bit better treatment.
I did a show at the Nassau Coliseum, all right, where this is a big venue where the New York Islanders play, all right? Everyone who was in the section had to go and fetch their own tables from the pile that was dropped off from the truck, bro. What, are you fucking serious?
It sounds like a union violation to me.
Well, that's not a union. That's
you need to talk to the shop steward.
Right. No, but that's happened, bro. That's happened.
Right? But when you comp that table, or did you pay for it?
We paid for this shit, bro.
Oh,
and not only that, so we're in the lower level. We're underneath the ice at Nassau Coliseum. All right. No one's Wi-Fi was working. So our digital our fucking online sales were done, bro. All right. So now you had to have somebody who with the square, it was loaded up. And then we had to run every 20 minutes or so upstairs so the signal could get through so we could get those sales before we lost it at the end of the day.
Yeah, but that wasn't
now, I tell you, Jay,
the table.
I tell you, Jay, there's a lot of amazing, crazy stuff in what you said. But the number one thing is that the Islanders don't really play hockey, man. They sit in the neutral zone and hide on the puck, man. They don't score goals, that's for sure.
That was fucking
Facebook
great.
ads have some of the highest ROI for self-publishers of graphic novels. I'd love to see some data on
I'd like to know what that formulary looks like.
I was going to say, I've talked to hundreds of creators, and I've never had anybody say that.
Tim, let me get into a few more other things, okay, that I'm going to get at a bigger convention, not local church basement con, all right? And I'm not disparaging that. I'm just using that as a indicator.
Sometimes they're the best ones.
Damn fucking right. Damn right. All right. But New York Comic Con, that's a big event. All right. That's a 22.5 for me. All right. That's huge. But we're making the money. All right. If it wasn't for me being out there, I never would have ended up on 5 different news programs. All right. I never would have met some of the collaborators that I'm working with right now because they're not flying in from the UK. They're not flying in from Canada. They're not flying in from Colombia. They're not flying in from Brazil for a local church basement con. All right. They're flying in for the big shows. And when the bigger guys at those big shows aren't hitting them, oh, you know what? They're going to come to the indie section. And that's where oh my God. Yeah, baby, this is a codependency. I will fucking off the goddamn fucking pillow. I will make you feel like $1 million fucking dollars, and you can't wait to work for me the second you get back home. You're gonna be excited, right? That's not something I'm gonna get on a Google ad. I'm not gonna get that first person interaction on a Google ad, on a Facebook ad. I'm not. For me, the shows are huge, huge. All right, just like you can sell, damn right, because you know what? I'm not selling to you. I am inviting you into my living room. I'm inviting you, like Braxton. You're introduced to my family. You're introduced to my wife. You're introduced to my brother-in-law. You're introduced to my cousin. You're introduced to the team. I'm
my dream
to the family right now, right? I'm not getting that type of connection through a Facebook ad, through a Google ad. So I'll pay that dough. I will. Now, am I going to go travel, all the way to Nebraska? A local church basement con? No, I'm not. Definitely not cost effective, right? Even if they comp me, $150 table, that's not worth it. It's not.
Yeah, staying local is the best sense. I mean, if you happen to live in one of the big cities that have the big conventions, man, that has to be a huge blessing because you could just drive to the venue every day and leave. Somebody like me trying to go to San Diego Comic-Con, and they already know you get in a room around that time, all those rates are higher because they know San Diego Comic-Con is coming on. I don't care how far out you try to book that, you're going to get gouged on the price just to stay there. And then I've got to get into the venue. I've got to park there. Being in Atlanta, we have 3 pretty nice cons. We got Atlanta Comic-Con, we got MomoCon, and we got Dragon Con. And I've applied to Dragon Con 6 years in a row, still can't get in.
Really?
And that's arguably the biggest one. But MomoCon last year, I presented a panel, and I had to slap myself because I had no idea how huge it was as far as the comic book scene was. So now I applied this year, and I'm also going to be presenting again at a panel. But Atlanta Comic-Con is cool. But those guys are great because you get to just drive down there. And if I want to stay one night just to kind of be around some people, I can. But it's 3 or 4 day con, so I don't have to. I could just take a 45-minute drive down there. And the table will pay for itself the first day. And after that, you just running off of inventory.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the interesting line, right? And I'd like to hear you guys 2 cents on that too. Braxton said something really smart, which is when you talk about how much time we invest into the cons, we always want to make sure of 2 things. Number 1, we cover our table. And number 2, that we're somehow reaching some of our fans. Maybe not hundreds, but at least you want to get, a couple dozen, maybe 50, as many faces as you can get in front of, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like we agree that part of the experience of the convention is the face-to-face marketing. This, one of the things we've talked about is that buyers like to follow creators. I don't know why that is exactly. I'm not sure why.
I'm not sure because I'm boring, so I don't know why they'd want to follow me.
But you'll notice that it's a personalized experience. Let me give you an example. Have you ever had a customer ask you to sign a book?
Yeah,
I sign
all the time, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm not famous at all, and I get asked one after the other the whole time at a convention. I probably sign a couple hundred books at a convention, and I'm a nobody. So what that tells you, I'm not trying to show that I'm important. I'm trying to show that customers like to be personalized. Like, hey, I met Mark Bell at the blah, blah, blah. It's like something they can say. So I know that's part of it. But the question is, what is the dollar value on that? This is the part that's hard. Because to me, again, one man's opinion, please let us know in the comments. If you're dropping $1,500 to go to a con, let's say, and that's to get your FaceTime value with the customer, something that we all agree is valuable, is there a better way to get FaceTime value that doesn't cost $1,500? If it is, I don't know the answer. So that's the question.
If you're doing a bigger show, I think one of the best ways to go about it, especially someplace like New York Comic Con, is something I've yet to utilize, is to start applying for panels.
Yes.
And, you can go on a panel and New York Comic Con will give you passes for the entire weekend, right?
Yes.
You can bring on 4 or 5 people with you. If they're part of your team, you can make sure that you have promotional material with you, right? You don't even need to be at the show. Like, you don't have to have a table or anything. Right. So you just do the panel, Go out there, present your material, talk about the subject matter the way we do here, right? And then pass out materials, as you go. Because you can have a person on the panel say, look, go pass these out while the rest of us talk, right? And they go hand those stuff out, have QR codes, all kinds of stuff. You can give out free comics. Who knows how many customers you can pick up, right?
I'm getting fired up. I'm getting fired up, bro.
300-400 people, right?
I'm getting fired up because you know what? We keep bringing up New York Comic Con. I'm sorry, that was the last big show that I did.
Okay, so I was trying.
Did he just mute Jay?
Was that the code word that the wife gave you, JD?
Yeah. For some odd reason, he kept talking about like meeting the family. I'm like, what do you mean, like the family? Do other indie creators start disappearing if you don't like them? Like, what happened to the creator, man? We had to take care of him.
If you pay $1,500, right, for a show, I can go around the goddamn indie artist section, right? I don't see people signing up, folks, for their fucking newsletter.
I do.
Center of the table.
Come on,
right
man.
there.
Come on. Right. Some do. Some people, the majority of people still don't fucking do it.
You sign up my newsletter, you get a sticker. Now,
I give you a
the
free
smallest
book.
sticker I
give
get.
you a free fucking book for signing up for the fucking newsletter.
Hey, yeah, listen, that's the right thing to do. Mark, I would have taken a sticker. That would work on me.
So, Jay,
yeah.
Here's a question for you.
Go.
Like, have you ever thought of, like, you New York Comic Con, all joking aside, you know other people that are there with you who are going to be there, right? Have you ever considered maybe doing a cross promotional thing with them?
Yes.
Where you guys all gather this stuff, or gather these signatures, give away books or whatever, and then share that information at the end of the show.
2 times, 2 years in a row. And you know what it came down to? The same thing that happened with us. There was too many chefs in the kitchen, right? And it didn't get pulled off. So you know what? Sorry. I am always going to break bread with you. No problem. But
Was I involved with that?
Was I involved with that?
What are you referring to, Jay? I didn't quite follow that. You're not going to do what exactly?
I am not going to run some sort of cross promotion with you.
Okay.
Right? Because you're going to want XYZ. I'm going to want XYZ. Some person over there is going to want XYZ. And not all parties involved, if they can get it off the ground, will not follow all stipulations of your agreed contract. I said, you know what? I don't have time for that. I am going to play nice. I'm going to be a great neighbor. I'm going to break bread with you. I am not going to poach your customers while you're trying to complete a sale.
Right.
But I am going to handle business my way, especially at a New York Comic Con. That's a $10,000 show for me, man.
We'll talk afterwards. I need to find out what idiots you were talking to. Because you were talking to a special group of idiots. If you can't, what I just told you is simple, very easy. If you can't pull that off, you're a group of morons, or at least not you. You understand? But you were dealing with a group of morons.
We've done pretty successfully the creator crawl, which is the scavenger hunt. You get it for visiting each booth.
Right.
And now sometimes people don't always buy something, but at least you get them to visit the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. So I do. I think you'll understand this. You guys will understand this. I have to limit myself to too small, too big, because if I don't, I'm like traveling all the time because I love it. I freaking love kids, parents, anybody coming up to my table going, "Oh, this is beautiful. Tell me about this." Like that is a drug that I totally get off on.
I get it, man. I get it. Yeah.
And I do like 10% of my Kickstarter backers are from town. So I do the local show. So that's one of my smalls, right? What I've found, and I think you're right, Tim, is I don't do pop culture shows anymore. You have to have comic in the title for me to be interested in your show, because like I did Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival last year, small show in a library. It was free for everybody. They fed us, right? And they watched our booths. If we needed somebody to come down and watch our booths, super, super well-run con.
Nice.
And I did great at that. like I did fantastic at that. Those comic art festivals are where my books soar. So that's what I'm putting, because there's a company that runs a bunch of one-day shows around the Midwest and the South East, and they do a great job, but they're pop culture shows now, and I'm like the only comic book guy there.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, I can't sell my book for $10 against your magic laser sword. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Or the people are there to meet a hobbit or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Again,
met the
nothing against
Hobbit,
hobbits. Look, I love
And they're
hobbits.
dressed up like hobbits, so they always go, I don't have any money in my hobbit pockets.
Yeah, I know.
right.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of cosplayers that'll walk around. They're not there to buy anything. They're just there
Not
to
at
show off
all.
the costume.
Not at all.
Oh yeah. And Tim, to answer your initial question, I was gonna say that the reason we don't get free tables is because they need us to pay for the tables to bring in Bill Shatner.
Right.
Yeah.
That is actually the reason
know?
why. And look, I'm not stupid. I get it that the successful convention, it kind of helps us all. So I'm not oblivious to that fact. But I would throw out there, and again, I would like to hear what this group thinks of this. I'm of the belief that if you're going to be at a place like Baltimore, you need a double table to get noticed.
For
You know,
sure.
if, when you do Artist Alley at Baltimore, correct me if I get it wrong, but it's 330 creators, right?
Dear God.
Something like that. Yeah, dear God, right? It's row after row after row of buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. So you've
Yep.
got to have some way to. By the way, I'm that guy too. I'm not insulting anybody, but you got to have some way to stand out, and part of that is to look like you're. I'm sorry to say this, bigger than you are. So I always try to go for the double table that's got employees at it, because the truth is, it's just me doing 90% of it, but you got to look the part or you don't get the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would add
I have
to
a friend
that,
who does that.
if you're
Go ahead,
doing
Mark.
local shows, I always try to have something different than the last time I was there.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
if
yeah.
if I haven't done something new, I don't do that show again
Yeah, you
until
gotta
I
stay-
do something new.
What's nice about, like I said, when we started doing the hybrid publishing with the novels and the comics, is that I can get big packages sold. You buy the comic and the novel, it's
Mhm.
$30, it's $50. I got compendium, so we basically made a compendium of all the superhero stuff, where we basically took. You open up the compendium, on this side, you have this entire synopsis of what happened in the novel, and then I had the artist draw. I basically scripted out 6 or 7 panels of the big moments from the novel. So basically, if you read that and you look at this, you've read that novel.
Nice.
Turn the page, go to novel 2. You get through all 4, then I give you the entire comic in there. So basically, we've summarized all 18 novels and all 5 comics from that superhero universe into 180-page compendium. People buy that for $50 because they get everything. They don't have to go back and read anything. Then sometimes they go, oh man, well, I want to read the books too. And they have a link to do that as well. So, selling novels wasn't enough, and just selling comics to me wasn't enough either, because I don't know how much you guys are selling your comics for, but I can sell.
Well, yeah. Look, a $10 price point, it's hard to
Absolutely
make money.
And,
Yeah.
and you got to sell 10 of those to make $100.
Right.
I sell 2 of my compendiums, I'm already running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
Well, that's why it's 10 for 1, 2 for 18, 3 for 20,
So-
7, 4 for, like, you just
You
you
gotta
have
have
that right.
You
Right,
guys
right.
sell your comic books for $10 at conventions?
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
That's
sell
my
them for
lowest
5.
one.
I just sell for $5.
Hey, listen,
So I
you
do
might be short
collector's
selling.
boxes. I do collector's boxes and I do mystery boxes. All right,
Yeah.
my collector's boxes are 25. Excuse me, my mystery boxes are 25. My collector's boxes are 50. All right.
Mhm.
We know Calderon and I go back and forth with this all the time. I do offset printing, so my books are cheap, right? So my cost per mystery box or collector's box is never more than $8 to $10.
Yeah.
All right. I'm earning really good margin on this stuff,
Mhm.
right? Because I do the offset stuff. And
Yeah.
in doing that, the higher price point gives me the opportunity to capture those bigger dollars, right? To hit my overhead a hell of a lot quicker. But I also try to get them to open those boxes up in front of me, because now I can leverage that on a social platform. Hey, look at the video, or look what they got. All right.
Yeah.
But it also doubles up with the sale on a mystery box, because now they're looking at the mystery box and they're saying, "Oh my God, I got issue number 3 here, and I got issue number 2 here, and I got issue 5 over here."
They got to complete the. They got to complete it.
Complete the set.
Go ahead and buy it. Yeah.
For somebody
Exactly.
that just consider some guy opening a mystery box, ain't nothing inside. Mystery solved, motherfucker. You know, I was like, ain't nothing in there. What?
Surprise!
Surprise.
That happens
It's a
in one
mystery.
out of every 1,000 boxes.
Every
Sorry,
1,000
man.
boxes, right? There ain't nothing in there. Whoops!
like-
I forget to fill that one. My
Don't do it in
bad.
New York. You might not make it out of that convention.
I know.
The mystery
Don't
is
do
where's
it,
my
baby.
25
Don't
bucks?
do it. That's
It
my
is.
fucking hole, kid. Shit.
I was telling JD this. Well, can I just have the final word here? I'll wrap
Go
it
ahead.
up. So one of the things that we recently started doing, I was showing these graphic novels earlier. I say graphic novel, really that's what you'd call a collected or a trade
Mhm.
paperback.
Yes.
For some reason at convention people say graphic novel, but really what it is, it's the issues collected into a
Right.
volume.
Trade paperback.
So we now sell more trade paperbacks than
Mhm.
floppies. So
That's
that's
good.
the right kind of problem. It's the right
Mhm.
kind of problem, but it's harder for me to re-up. Like the order numbers are bigger, if you know what I mean. That's one of the
Yeah.
reasons to try this Indiegogo, because I want to start printing overseas. I've always made the commitment that I want to print in the US, and I try to. I'm good friends with the folks over at Comics Wellspring. Thanks for supporting me.
They're really great.
They're doing
They
a
are
good job.
fantastic.
But I realize a
people.
lot of people are printing in China
Yeah.
and just saving a ton of bread. Why
Oh,
that's
yeah.
prohibitive to me, though, is because of the cap on the orders. It's you got to order at least 1,000. So in my
Exactly.
case, it's about a $6,500 order.
Oh.
For me,
Oh,
1,000 graphic novels will last a year and some.
Reach out to me after the show. I know a place that'll do 500.
Yep. That's where we go,
Yeah.
man. 500 for a 32-page full color book with almost 90-pound cover stock. All right. You'll without shipping for 500 units, you're looking at maybe about 530 something bucks.
So
Okay.
about
Hit me
$1.
up.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
You toss it. Yes, this is the one that we talked about. This is
Was-
using their
Was it
calculator.
that much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now 1,000 units was 570 something. So for another 500 units more, right? It was another 30 bucks, 40 bucks. Come
Oh
on.
no, because I mean, all right, because I was using it for trades. I priced out
trade,
a
yes.
120 page square bound, book sewn, not just glued. So it's sewn in.
Yeah.
500. It
It was
was
about 9 and change,
about-
100-page book.
120 pages. About $4. About $4
It's about
per unit.
$5 a book. Yeah.
No, $4 a unit delivered to your door.
Oh,
It was about $2,000 delivered to your
and
door.
is that from China?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
And a quick, and this is, hope this isn't going off topic, but how do you get a proof? Do you approve a proof, a video proof? How do
Yeah,
they do it?
they'll. I believe the PDF is for free, and I
Yeah.
believe you have to pay if you want, the hard copy.
Yeah. Physical proof. Usually, when I do Comics Wellspring, it's Timothy knows probably it's $10. I think it's $10 for a physical proof.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And they
and
might
it's
do a little
always
more.
worth it. It's always worth it.
Yeah.
It is because you always
Right.
see something messed up. But
Right,
yeah, I
but
always
I'm-
sell my comics for $5. I'm also kind of gearing towards kids who just have half $5 allowance. So that's
It's
kind of my
about
goal.
it's about how you say it. I learned that a long time ago. You can't say $10. You say $10. People say,
yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Pretty good, yeah.
A buck
Yeah.
seems cheaper than $1. She said,
That's
"Oh,
how
it's
why he
only
has so
$1.
many deer in his
I'm gonna
yard.
Give you the money. If
Well,
you
and
say
you
$10, they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You get Wednesday Warriors who know that DC and Marvel are selling their books for $7.99 now.
Yeah.
So-
Are they really?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
Marvel and DC stuff in years.
There's a lot of
Are they
indies
really
that-
selling them for $7.99 each issue?
The
There's
thick
a lot
ones,
of
yeah.
indies that are moving up to that price point as well.
Oh,
In the previews, you can see them. So hold on, we beat this subject up kind of good. Jay, you got a question?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still fired up. But
I know that's why I had to mute you for a minute because you were tripping there for a second.
no, because you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm passionate about this stuff. I am.
Really?
And this goes back to the whole thing I said earlier about people always trying to figure out how to build a better mousetrap. Marketing is not my background, but sales, logistics, that is. All right. And I got enough convention experience to know what the fuck I'm talking about. Right. But as you see in the private chat, sometimes I get a little ahead of myself, and even though the wife is not here, she's always watching. You know what I'm saying? So what do you want to do this year that you didn't do last year? That's the question.
What's the question? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
I missed it.
What do you want to do this year that you didn't do last year?
You're talking about the upcoming year since this year's almost over.
That's it. Whatever it is. Were
I
they
wanna
comics?
Want to hit the lotto?
Right? We're going to softball question, bro.
No? All right.
We're going softball.
All right. Mark, I think you were first. So let's.
Okay, I'll take this because I'm a planner. I'm super planner, super to-do list, super that sort of. I do an annual year plan. For all the things I'm involved in. Plus, I review that weekly and monthly, and to hit what I want to do. So this is fresh on my mind right now. I have 2 books that I'm going to produce next year. Spirit 3 and Strange Ranger 2 are going to go into production. So that's a lot right there already for me. I'm going to try to do 2 small, 2 big cons, and I'm going to try to do 1 more Kickstarter. I don't know if I'm going to do a Kickstarter next year. I don't know if I'm going to do new IP. If I do a new IP, because it's nice to have more titles at your table when you're doing IP, your own IP. So I may do that. If I do that, I'll probably do 2 Kickstarters next year, but they're a mental marathon on you, and they take the toll. So that's my plan. On a personal level, Aaron, I'm so freaking jealous. I can't draw worth crap. I've been spending a year working on all the drawing stuff. I'd like to do 6 pages of my own that tells a story this year that I can say I'm finished. I'm not saying I'm going to show this to anybody. I'm not saying I'm going to sell it to anybody, but 6 pages that I took from my brain and put on paper.
I always thought it was a little important for, even if it's stick figures, for every comic creator to actually do all the jobs at once, just because you learn so much by doing all of them. And that way, even if you don't show your comic to anyone, at least now when somebody comes up to a letter or a color, she's like, oh, that's why he's doing it that way. You start figuring it out.
Yeah, Janssen said my thumbnails are better this year. So I'm like, okay, I must have improved somehow. So
that's cool.
So that's what I want to do this year.
I've got a couple of, again, I'm like Mark with the IPs. I'm getting caught up because you get a fantastic idea again, and then you're like ready to run. I know I've got Steel Rain. I want to do another issue of Steel Rain. I'll probably use all of next year to just market the graphic novel for the Broken series. I'll probably have the novella written in 26. But next year, we are publishing our first manga comic from an author named Chris McCauley, and it's just really got me excited. I had to go back and start looking at Gundam, so I'm excited about that. Getting that I'm doing a little bit more of these Japanese and anime comic conventions next year. I'm a little excited about that, so I'm looking forward to that. And I've got my own manga story that I'm writing. It's going to be based on historical fiction, and so I'm really excited about how that's going to come across.
All right, cool. Aaron, what are you looking forward to?
I'm pretty much just doing more of the same. My goal with Noct is I've always been, as a cartoonist, really like, not envious, but admire like Stan Sakai and stuff. Who do Usagi? It's all they do, and just building that. And so I'm just having fun. I like drawing Halloween stuff, and I like fantasy. So I'm happy. I'm just gonna do more Noct to stick with it. I'd like to just keep building it and just stick with it. I'm having fun. I'm drawing what I'd like to draw, and so I'm not super concerned with like building an amazing audience. I just having fun playing this world. And then I have fun thinking of weird ideas to do for Facebook ad. I do these strange ad campaigns. My dog Timothy knows it. I have a basset hound. And so thinking of more goofy ideas to try there. I had one where like it was like what Celton Comics, my dog got a chew toy. That actually succeeded. I got my dog a chew toy and filmed it and everything. So I have all sorts of weird ideas. I just want to have fun. That's why people keep telling me never make money in comics. I'm like, fine, fuck it. I'll just have fun not making money. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, and I have a buddy whose hobby is board games, and my hobby is revenue neutral, almost
Yeah.
like that's, and his hobby is not revenue neutral. So.
Yeah.
Mark, that's a good place to be, man. Not many people can even get to that point.
Yeah. Is he at least is he positive or negative?
Oh, he is way negative because all he does is buy board games.
Oh, he buys. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was creating.
No.
Gotcha. So, C, what do you want to do?
Same thing that Aaron's doing. Same thing Aaron's doing. I didn't get into this to be a hired gun. I really didn't. In fact, I'm shutting down commissions for that matter. I'm doing my stuff. I want to be me. I got into this because I wanted to tell a story. I got drawn in by somebody to do other things, and it's been a kind of a roller coaster for the past 4 years on that. And I put other things to the back burner, but I'm kind of tired of doing that. So I'm gonna do me.
Cool. When are we gonna see the first product or the first book? I should say.
Well, it's going. What book? I didn't say necessarily going to be a book.
All right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't movie. Animated.
You guys take the Kickstarter route and everything, and I got other routes that I'm going to try. So
Yeah.
that's all I can say.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, listen, whatever it is, please let me know. I'll be there to support however I can.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Tim.
What am I going to do different? Right? Is the question?
No.
I guess maybe something you want to do more the same.
No,
or
so
something different.
what are you going to do this year that you didn't get to do last year?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I guess two things. I'll just keep my answer simple. I listened a lot to what Braxton said, and I think in my case there's a little bit of connective tissue between this comic series and this novel that it's finished, but I just never released it yet. So I'm probably going to release a novel in 2025, and I'm probably going to release it episodically on Substack behind a paywall. And then when all the chapters are out, I'll release it on Kickstarter. That's what I'm thinking right now. You can tell I have no idea what's going on. And also, like the regular stuff, I'm still going to do. Water Wars #5 should come out. Call of the Cryptid 2 should come out. Let's see what else. I'm going to go to conventions where I'm a guest. And I guess the rest of you guys know we're doing these curated podcasts every Friday night at 10 p.m. And they've been very successful so far. So if you guys would like to come on, most of the people in this room know about it. But Braxton, you're definitely invited, and Mark too. Jay, not so much because he never invites me on his show. And well, I'm getting a complex. I'm getting a complex about it. You know, I stay up late at night. Maybe tonight's the night. He'll ask me. But
the door is always open to you, bro. Come on, man.
I'm just messing with you, JD.
But I'm just thinking Timothy's inviting Jay on. We have the missing link. I mean, we have Jay on here. What?
But yeah, so we're over Friday nights at 10 p.m. on the Indie Comics Network, and we do. As you guys know, we were doing this comic creator podcast. It's a little over 14 months old. We've been doing it for a year and a half, and I stole the idea from JD Calderon. Its format is very similar to this show where there's a topic and then we debate the topic. But then as that got going on, I wanted to, like I say, we're in a very slender market segment as it is. And I realized in my case that I want to help the indie community, and that's what I came up with. But I also want to generate new customers that like the fields that might be tangential to what I'm making. So in this case, it is UFO research and ghost sightings. So the first Friday of every month is now UFO, and the second Friday is now ghost sightings. Yeah, and they're doing really well. Like the one, see, Michael, the one we just did 2 days ago is like 70 views or something already.
Golly, yeah.
Which that doesn't include. That's the YouTube. That doesn't include the live or the other channels. And look, by the way, I realize that some people get hundreds and thousands of views, but I'm not that guy. Like if you know,
don't knock yourself.
Well, thank you. So anytime I'm on the road to 300 views, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing something right in this case. So I'll close up shop here, saying you guys are invited. I would love to talk to you.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to get in the UFO one. I got in the ghost one. Want to get in the UFO one?
Yeah, man. They're a lot of fun.
If you guys have anything that you want to invite me to, I just put my email into the info@CosMediaProductions. Just hit me up there.
All right, gotcha.
All right, cool. What didn't I get to do this year? I want to put out 4 trades. I got 2 out, and and I mean, I did what, 10 campaigns this year, and I think I got 2 trades out.
Jeez.
So I want to get at least 4 trades out next year, maybe about 12 campaigns. Yeah.
Very cool.
And
That's a machine.
also try to do a couple on Indiegogo, and that's just Kickstarter. So
Okay.
listen, yeah, what do you want? I don't have children. I gotta do something, you know.
Do it,
You're
brother.
Want
driven
some?
by a shadowy compulsion, much like the rest of us.
Well, listen, I mean, I'll be honest with you, is I've taken on a lot more on my plate than I probably should have in the last 8 months, artistically. So I put on like 2 or 3 more artists onto my staff, onto my team. And yeah, they want money. So I have to keep feeding them. So I have to do more and more. But the good thing is that I do have a lot of backlog content. And it's content that I've been backlogging for years. So, I mean, I literally have 14, 15. I could run 14, 15 campaigns in a row without getting enough artwork from artists. So, as long as I just keep running them, I'm good. But yeah, it's just that I have all these artists on. And the thing is they do become dependent on you, because the way I run it is I don't just give them a lump sum of money and just say, go do this. I pay them, like I'll say, deliver me 2 pages every week, and every week they deliver me 2 pages, and I pay them. And it's very, very, it's not huge sum of money, but it's a very dependable sum of money. It's something that they can depend on, because sometimes you go through lean times where they have no one, but they always know that I'm always going to be there for them.
But see, the problem with that, JD, I only have Tim Fling money. I don't have JD Calderon money.
I have Kickstarter money, so yeah, for sure. I got you, Tim. I got you, Jay. So, what do you want to do next year that you didn't manage to do this year, sir?
Not worry about other people's bullshit and not let it bother me as much as it does.
Amen.
Nice.
Amen.
That's simple. That simple. There's a lot of disinformation out there. There's a lot of people spreading rumors, conjecture, and just bad practices. And if anybody else wants to follow that, fuck it, not my problem. I'm not gonna step in the way of anybody falling on their face. I just got to focus on my stuff.
But it certainly be the kick sand in your face when you do.
Jay, you're a real positive guy, man. I appreciate that. I do occasionally catch your podcast too, and you're always real positive. I appreciate that.
I try to be. But some things just
to me, that's the free stuff. Being positive and being did you see that guy's table? His art is amazing. Go look at that.
Yes.
That costs you nothing, man.
Right.
And then that guy comes over and tiny story. I'll be real quick. I showed up. There was a kid who had hand drawn his comic, obviously, probably on autistic spectrum somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
His parents dropped him off. He had like 20 books that he had printed, probably at his dad's business. He had no tablecloth. I took my extra tablecloth and gave it to him. I'm like, let's get you set up so that you have a good day.
That's awesome.
Amen.
That doesn't cost anything at all.
Awesome,
and
dude.
that kid had a better day.
That's a really cool story. Thank you for sharing that.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, man. Gonna make you tear up with that, man. That is awesome. That is awesome, man.
All right. Steve, before we go, do you have a question you want to ask real quick?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh,
you were supposed to be a Coco, but you walked in late.
Come on, man.
I'm used to Tim. Tim's like being the host, so I kind of figured he's the next level.
He's still caught in that Twilight Zone black and white, man. You gotta give him a bit of grace.
So what trends do you see being next in indie comics? Like say for instance, I've seen a lot of bunnies. Do you guys see another trend coming up in indie comics that's starting to be kind of frequent?
I'm gonna,
Oh, hey, can I go first? Because I got a good
yeah,
one.
go.
This
Go,
is
Tim.
actually going to be my question because I read this article today, and what they're discussing is the emergence of AI comics onto Kickstarter. Most people already know about this, and it's probably not shocking to you, but they have expected the content to triple in 2025. What do you have to say about that, guys? So where I'm going, my answer is, if that was something I could change, I would change that. That's probably out of my power. If it wasn't clear, I'm anti-AI. But I've reached a level I realize I'm not going to be able to stop it. So that's what I'm going to put for that's something I'd like to see changed, is for somebody to step up and at least keep it from tripling. What do we have to say about that?
So hold on. So you see the trend being AI.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I should say I'm aware of it. I certainly have never bought an AI book. I followed one of the guys in the groups. I'll be honest, I follow it because I love to see everybody trolling this guy and saying what a thief he is and he's so terrible. I'm not going to mention him here.
Right.
But it is a thing now in the comic
Thanks, Tim. I
creator
appreciate
groups.
that.
But it's a little bit startling, right? When they tell you words like, hey, this is expected to triple next year. And like these are pages of like, guys, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. You all would hate them. I feel I can say with great confidence. How do we address this?
Make good books.
Yeah,
Number
there
one.
you go. Yeah,
Number
that's a
one,
good answer.
make good books. Number two, say and don't give any money to those people. I'm not AI. I'm not giving you any money. It's in my contract with every artist that if you do AI generation for your art, I don't want anything to do with you. Contract is null and void right away. Right.
Gotcha.
And support people who make real art. That's all you got to do.
All right.
Be the market, like Jay says, like do those things.
Good
And
answer.
what do you see as a trend though, as well?
A trend as well on Kickstarter, especially, boys like boobs.
Yeah.
They do like the boobs.
By the record, these books I'm mentioning, Mark, they were all adult books. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a set of not safe for work books done by people who do great work, right? Who are not AI generated, are telling great stories. They just happen to have boobs in them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and then there's the I'm a crass consumerism person. I'm not interested in those books at all. So I know a couple of creators, and one of them in her newsletter put in are all ages books dead on Kickstarter, and she used me as an example and said they're not. You make good books. Mark Bell is still doing Kickstarters and successful Kickstarters because there are still people who are interested in all ages books, and there's always going to be people interested in all ages books, and that stuff has no staying power, while my audience is built slowly over time.
That's a good answer.
Yep. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Am I making Jay cry again? Are you crying, Jay?
Yeah, he's crying. He's crying.
He's
He's always
looking at
crying. I got at least
sure,
3 times
pretty
per show.
Well, he's looked at my face for 2 hours. What do you expect?
Yes.
Oh,
He's feeling bad about not inviting me onto his podcast. I think.
that's fine. Yeah.
I think AI was going to get more, but the problem I've seen in AI is you can't replicate the same face to do the same emotion. So a lot of the AI comics I've seen are like told in captions, not so much the character speaking.
Right.
Because they can't replicate the same character with the same emotion. They can't nail that yet. So you can't do like a panel to panel story flow very well. You can do captions. So it's more like people writing prose or a tale or something and then putting pictures with it. So it's more like picture books than comic books. That's what I see. And I don't think the AI has been able to catch up, because you can always tell when the characters look a little different in each picture. As far as trending, I don't. Western seem to be. I mean, I don't really follow some I go on Kickstarter sometime. I like the kids book. That's usually why I just don't go on Kickstarter, because I don't find too well. I mean, Mark's kids books on there, but a lot of times it's just I don't find a lot, and so I find more kids books or younger books because that's what I'm making. So that's what I like to read on stores, like individual stores and stuff. People selling them that way. So I don't really peruse Kickstarter. I knew the booby books have like taken off, which I don't know. Like my friend said, he's like, well, it's the lowest hanging fruit. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to sell sex, right? So it's one of those things that I don't know. I mean, by all means, free country, do whatever you want. But I did a Facebook post, but basically I watched a guy doing a video who's a publisher talking about how we need to do more central focus stories and get younger readers in, like kids books. And then, we need to get away from the alternate covers, do the covers so the art you see on the covers aren't in the book, and the cover tells a story. And they're like, yeah, back to the old classic books. I'm like, but that same publisher also been publishing tons of like nudie books with alternate covers. So I'm like, I'm like, wait, you can't do both. You can't and so a lot of times I see the one thing that this is maybe not a comic trend, but it's not a trend I'd like to see. It's like maybe some people who preach this start doing at least one book to put I mean, you could still do nudie, but put one book trying to get younger readers or something, because lots of people preach it, but the way I'm not going to do it. The next guy's going to do it. Right, I'm gonna go back and get that booby cash, and so that's what it was. Kind of like I was watching, and I was just looking at him like, "You seriously saying this on Eric? I know what you published. What the hell, dude?" And so I was like, "Okay, whatever."
He also hates Lord of the Rings. Who hates Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who? I'm asking you seriously.
So no, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Oh, JD doesn't like him.
Aaron, I don't think I'm inviting you back.
I did. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I always like Lord of the Rings. So, but
cool.
I see Westerns as a new trend. I don't know why. I can see more
Westerns.
Yeah. I got a Western I'm working on.
Yeah.
That's fair. Braxton, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I've seen some fantasy comic books coming out too, which I actually I'm really intrigued with them and interested. See how people put those together in comics.
Yeah, cool. I'm always hunting down fantasy books, good ones. I'm always into those. I still need to go find those Fire and Ice comics I missed. I've never been able to find them in stores yet. So.
Oh yeah, they're around.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings and Bakshi, that's on one. Oh, it's on Prime.
Yeah,
did
it finally
on
Prime? The anime.
By the way, I love the early one too.
Yeah, they were showing it. They were actually showing that on the network, on the broadcasting it to the network. The Hobbit came on, for that matter, on Cartoon Network, the actual network, not just the streaming service.
Nice.
So
nice.
They're rebroadcasting that stuff. Yeah. But I'm curious. Everyone's here saying like all ages and stuff like that, but you guys are all ages books, right?
Yeah.
But my question is this. But my question is this. Everybody's saying all ages. Are you going to where the all ages are?
That's the hardest part. My age is probably middle school above.
What?
I know. I mean, I had to decapitate somebody, so it's like, okay, maybe
but I'm not talking about genre. I'm talking about where are these kids at today?
That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Well, that's reading Kickstarter.
To me, those kids are in three places: library shows, right? Yeah. I do library shows. Comic-Cons is a family thing now. It's we all know it used to be bearded guys in long boxes for miles and miles and miles, right? But it's not that now, right? And comic book shops are full of kids now. A lot more kids are in comic book shops than they used to be. So,
but I feel like there's easier places to go than that, though.
Are you asking us where we?
Why he keeps getting arrested at the elementary school?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, no, what I'm saying
still
is
talking
you
about
guys are
comics,
kind of thinking. Okay, well,
hey kid, let me show you this comic.
No, I know. It's hard. I mean, I remember taking.
Y'all are talking about a physical medium that you're asking kids to go to, but we don't live in that day and age anymore. You have got to go beyond that to reach these kids that you're talking about reaching. We're talking about the creepypasta kids. We're talking about the webtoon kids. We're talking about that. If you're going to reach kids and you're not going to have that's going to be outside locally, then your library and everything else, you got to go to where they are. I keep hearing, all ages books don't do good on Kickstarter. It's because what kid's going to Kickstarter?
Right.
Yeah.
What kid is going to Kickstarter?
Mm-hmm.
That's why
I do see.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Is the booby book thing? guys, that's a myth. It's a myth. They're not doing as well as you think they are. Now go and you look. Go
I
and look.
agree. I do
at
agree.
Webtoons, people with webtoons, web comics, people who have been putting in the money are making almost $100,000 on their Kickstarter campaigns because they put in the time and they're going to the places where the people who want to read that type of stuff are. They're not necessarily on Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is only the platform that you use to make physical media, not to get your audience. It helps, but not to get your audience. That's the thing. We've got to get out of this mindset that I'm going to produce physical media because that's what kids are going to read. And that's not necessarily the case. Like you said, you have comic book shows, comic book shops, and you got libraries. But the problem with that is that's all localized, and that's where you're going to stay until you expand.
Yeah, I put one of my comics on Webtoons. And Webtoons, I mean, trying to get seen on other stuff, Webtoons, that's a hard, if you're especially not manga, that's a hard nut to crack.
But that's also where you got to go to. Yeah. You just have to keep going.
Oh, no, I don't disagree, but it's like, when I look on there, I'm like, oh my God, that's intimidating. I'm always looking for is there smaller Webtoon type, other people
absolutely.
read? There are some smaller.
Go to put stuff on Reddit. Reddit has, if you start you have to be seen. You have to be seen. And the case is, yes, you have that physical, that same connection Rosario's talking about here with somebody at a Comic-Con, you can do that right here. Every time in those comments, Mike DeFonte, in the comments, that man will support you to hell and back. God bless you, DeFonte, I promise you. But we're making the connection there. This right here is your connection. And it's better than the comic book show and the library. Still go to that. But this is your connection.
Strange enough, the strange enough selling kids related stuff, the thing I always try to connect more is the parents. The parents have the money, the kids have the want, the desire. And so that's, Webtoons, I think, is a good way. And I'm not disagreeing with C at all. I agree with him. But it's like, when I'm at, I have so many grandparents go buy their kids' book for my nephew, my grandson, and so I get a lot of parents who go in there. Why the old ladies are there with no kids, I don't know. But they do buy it. And so I'm like, well, you didn't bring your kids to them? Like, no, I'm here, for them or shopping or whatever.
So
think about it when the old person used to give you a book or a comic when you were a kid. Is that something that you're like, oh, thanks, Grandma? Not necessarily because she's not going to be interested in which, despite the fact that it might be good or not. That's not the case. Are you creating an audience that way? That's the thing. You might be making a sell, but are you creating an audience?
No, and it's really hard. I think I sometimes don't know if it's how possible it is to create an audience if you're targeting just kids, because kids are growing up and their interests are changing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's hard. I think you maybe can. I don't know. That's really hard. I'm more helping my comic inspires a kid to try art or try something else.
Right.
Or try to read other comics and they keep coming back and buying mine maybe.
Well, I don't think that you have to be into the idea that all ages, saying all ages is a killer. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that now. People hear all ages, that's a killer. Just put out the story, tell the story, and even if you get adults that way, it's across the board, and you'll find.
Oh yeah, I don't put all ages on my book. I usually put middle school, but I don't put any rating. I think all ages too. See, once you put all ages, you're competing with Disney. And that's a juggernaut. I mean, in my head, because it's just like every family, when they go to consume cartoon or comic media, it's Disney, and that's just no competition. And so I think, in a way, it's got to do your own stuff. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured out.
I'll tell you what I did see is, because I have brand new IP, right? Mm-hmm. I made a coloring book that I hand out to every kid. That's free.
Yeah.
Right. And lots of times that kid comes back and buys a book later, or brings his parents and buys a book later, because they've seen my characters. They've got used to them. They've got used to looking at them then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I get that.
So that coloring book aids in that. And so the stretch goal on the latest Kickstarter is everybody gets a coloring book.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I just make
What
weird
if you-
titles. I have a banner with my kids' book. It's one of my kids' book is Brasco, Alien Wildlife Photographer. And people read
Can
that.
I ask
they'll
you
stop.
something? Have you ever thought about putting a page of that up on your Facebook or something like that, and having people, hey, color this and send it to me. Let me see,
Oh, that's a
Where I
good-
could
that's an
post it.
I do
interesting
that.
idea. I like that.
I definitely do that. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds
Alright.
fun. I would do that.
All right, gentlemen, we've exceeded the 2 hours.
Yeah, I
So-
know.
Yeah, and I got something.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But gentlemen, this was a lot of fun. So let's.
It was an honor.
Yeah, good one tonight, JD.
Aaron, let's start with you. Please, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Facebook and usually I hang out the most. I do some Instagram. I just like Facebook because you're able to leave more comments and there's a little more thought. I guess you can talk back and forth a little more. I have Humphrey's Illustration. Like my last name is spelled HMPH. Big Cartel. I just sell myself my stuff through a store, and I have a portfolio site too. That's more for work, but yeah. So and Humphrey's Illustration on both. So if you look at my name, Humphrey's Illustration or Aaron Humphreys, you'll find me on Facebook. Instagram's Humphrey's Illustration. It's all branded. So.
All right, cool. Mark, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Well, first of all, I want to say, gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I am working this week to buy all your books, basically.
I appreciate it.
I'm on Strange Ranger #2 on Kickstarter. The link's in the dibbly-doo down below. Or you can go to kickstarter.plaguedoctorpress.com and you get my latest Kickstarter automatically goes to that. And plaguedoctorpress.com, you can get my books. I'm very small, so just send me an email. I'll send you a book. I'll take care of all you gentlemen as well, because it's been great to have you guys.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you.
Braxton, where can they find you and your work, sir?
I always found out that cats sell books. I don't know how.
My dog, I have a Basset Hound. He sells. That dog is more famous than I'll ever be in my neighborhood. And he's my mascot, man.
Yeah. No, you guys, just go over to the website, CosbyMediaProductions.com. My social media links for our company are on there. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We got on TikTok, but TikTok's being banned in January from what I hear. So other than that, we got a ton of stuff. I really enjoy our stories. I'm really picky with who we bring on when we sign for publishing. So I think that their stories matter. I think that their stories are unique. And, I think anybody who picks them up will be in for a treat. You got a lot of series.
All right, cool. Mr. Lanning.
As always, you can check me out at landingart.com if you want to look at pretty pictures, I guess. Also on the Indie Comics Network, I appear on several different shows. I don't know why they keep inviting me on, but I keep coming. So I'm sorry, guys. Stop.
Well, you're in black and white, so you're cheap. Right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Exactly. I don't come in color. So, as always, look for Magi's Grace coming out pretty soon. You get notified. JD Calderon, myself. Right. Yeah. And
Friday, I promise.
Yeah, eventually it's going to show up. But that's number 2, and the whole series is done.
Yes, the whole series is done. Yes,
I've done my part anyway. So it is completed. So check that out when it comes out. So
all right, Timothy.
Actually, when C was talking, I was going to throw up a screen share there. Can you show me that? This is a pitch for next Friday night. We're going to be taking a look at some of the most famous ghost photos in history. I'll tell you something. I cannot tell if ghost photos are real or not. I just know that I find them interesting. So I've invited some of today's top creators to come on the air and explain it to me. And what you're going to find is that some of the photos are hoaxes and some of them are not hoaxes. So it's really
Tim, I may have written a master's thesis on ghost photography.
Oh man, listen,
hey,
I think we found a new guest. We do this once a month, and really the idea is, thank you very much, JD, is that people can come on and sort of say what they think. It's not, how would you say, C. Michael? There's no wrong answers. We're just kind of like analyzing it.
Look, this last one we did, the alien one this past Friday.
That was
I'll be honest with you. As simple as that story is, it stumps me. I'm still on the fence about it. So.
Yeah, I think we determined that the Valentich disappearance was not a hoax.
It wasn't mystery. Let's
It's a mystery, put it that way. But yeah, we sort of debate these unusual incidents. And of course, at the end, it's not too different than this. We all pitch our products, and it's a little bit dialed into comic creators. Although if somebody's a novelist or a musician, they're welcome too, but it's all creative types. So I hope you'll stop by. That's Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I did add Mark and Braxton. I would love to have you guys come on sometime.
Sweet.
Yep. Sweet.
It's fun. You'll like it. You'll like it.
It's super fun show. Yeah.
But no Jay. I get it.
Well, I'm still mad at Jay. My feelings are really hurt. I might show up on Friday just to spite him now.
Oh man, you made me happy.
He brought up hockey.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I love Jay. It's hard for us to get together because I'm usually doing stuff on Friday night, getting ready for the other show. But it's something like it's 100 and some episodes, and we've promoted over 300 independent creators since its inception. We average about 4 a week. It's usually about 4 or 5 a week.
All right, cool. Jay,
See you Friday.
Where can they find you in your work, sir?
Unstoppablecomics.com is where you can find all of my social media links to everything that we're dealing with. You also find our books on sale, digital stuff there on sale. Friday nights, I'm doing Comic Book Streamland at 8 o'clock. This week, we're going to be talking about toys. I'm a big toy guy. We're in the month of gift giving, where usually the gifts that are given are toys to the people within our community. So that's gonna be the highlight this week. And Sunday nights with the knucklehead up there in the corner here, Indie Comics Explained.
Nice.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. My name is JD Calderon. You can find me here, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these different places, DeviantArt, but primarily here Sunday nights, but also Kickstarter, the Oswald Chronicles, and this Friday, Magi's Grace will be launching finally. So that'll be going out. So thank you so much, everybody. Just remember, everyone here is an awesome creator. And if you go check those show notes, as everybody's links to their campaigns, to their websites, go click on those links. Go buy those books. Those are awesome books. All these creators are doing awesome work. So please support them however you can. And just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
JD.
guys. Bye.
Night, guys.